follow up on this. Let us know what you think. We're live.
Well, I have to be right back because I forgot something. Sorry.
All right. All right. All right. Which way do I want this mic to go? I had to change it up. I had to shave the power stash. I couldn't. I just can't imagine showing up because for those of you that are new here, I have a day job. I have a normal career. I've been in sales for my whole life, literally my whole life, and I deal with large contracts like tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars in contracts, and I'm working directly with businesses, so I'm a B2B sales rep. I wanted to keep it. I just couldn't. I didn't feel right showing up to a business that's a multi-million-dollar business or a Fortune 500 company, and I'm rocking a power stash, But I wanted to keep it. I really did. I really, really, really did. Yeah, look, my goal is to do this full time. We want to do this full time, and that's where we're going. That's what we're pushing for, is to do this full time. I'm just I'm a penny pincher, you guys. So if I can't supplement my income in another way, then I got to hold off as long as I can. But it's essentially two jobs. The amount of time it takes to edit the podcast and everything, it's I probably put more hours into editing than I do my actual job. But luckily, my career job is traveling sales, so I manage my own schedule. I manage my own time. I just have to hit my numbers, and we're good. But it requires a ton of driving. A ton of driving. I wish I could record while I'm driving. That would be the best. But welcome everybody. Welcome. I'll wait till Malia gets here to actually kick off the official intro. But I'm excited to talk about this. As you guys can see, we've added a few things to our thumbnail for what we're going to be talking about. No, I'm not going solo tonight. You guys should be afraid of me if I have to go solo. Malia keeps me in check. But yeah, we actually this week we did record the podcast while traveling in the motorhome. So that's what we need to do, is create a studio in a motorhome.
Oh yeah.
And drive everywhere and have like have the background be a window. So like wherever we're shooting the story, we just back that window up to location. Yeah, she does. I tell everybody that, like, I'm really quick, you guys. That's one of the things that benefits me in sales is that I just make connections quick. I think it's my ADHD, but I can just think really, 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 really fast. I've never, ever, ever once been in a situation where I couldn't respond. It's just really quick, but that also causes me issues at the same time too, where if I don't have someone there communicating with me, helping keeping me into a normal rhythm of conversation, I fly off the handles, you know what I mean? So I'm I'm the aggressor in this true crime duo. I'm the one that causes all the problems. I'm the bad cop. Malia's the good cop.
I am.
Yes, yes. I'm the troublemaker. But that's funny because I think it's like how I talk makes me the bad cop and troublemaker, but in reality, you're more like conspiracy minded than I am.
Yeah, I am for sure.
You're more tin hat minded, like ready to jump off into these ideas and than I am.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But welcome everybody.
I was watching YouTube back when the Zeitgeist was a big thing. Did anybody watch Zeitgeist back in like the early days of YouTube?
No. Have no idea what that is.
I like to really entertain conspiracy theories, but
I love conspiracy theories.
it doesn't mean I believe all of them. But I am quicker, I guess, to believe. I'm just more cynical minded. Brendan's much more positive than I am and believes in people much more than I do, which I think is what makes him less of a conspiracy theorist than me, because I'm more cynical about people and more negative about people.
Yeah.
But it's weird because I also like, you could never show me an ugly person. Like
Yeah.
I also have so much appreciation for beauty and people in this world at the same time, but I do think that everybody has their own agenda and that
Yeah, but that's expected.
yeah.
I think that if we walk around assuming everyone is selfish, like I think I've made this argument before that I wish everyone in the world was selfish. And if we all walk around being selfish and openly selfish, then everyone else understands that, hey, our own needs come first, right? When people don't do that, like codependence, there's trouble. Things get messed up, things get mucked up, you know? And but if everyone understood that everyone was out for themselves and they needed to be out for themselves, I feel like we'd be in a way better place. But that's just personally. I'm not talking about in a corporate setting or capitalism or anything like that. But yeah, and I see we have AR on. What's going on, my friend? Super stoked to have you. Always love when you're hanging out in here. I feel like the talk show's been popping off. We had Drip Drop in here the other day. We got AR in here today.
Monday, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah, good to see you. You've been killing it lately. I feel
yes.
like I don't know, you've been doing really good. Like every video I'm like, that really made me think, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the best thing you could do, I think, is give people something to where they leave your videos continuing to think. It's that deep thought. And that's what we hope to do here as well.
Yeah, he just did a video, AR Hayes just did a video on Chris Watts's like time in prison, like how he'll be treated or could be treated, and like once he was convicted,
oh dude,
where did he go? Like, you know, like
he's
talking about like
he's
the dynamics
he
in
has
prison.
to be.
Oh, he was, yes,
yeah,
he was right away.
Yeah.
They moved him to Michigan
yeah,
right away,
yeah,
pretty much.
I knew it.
After his
Dude,
after his conviction.
He won't last in there with the child stuff, man. That's not okay.
No,
that's
it's not.
That doesn't fly with anybody. And what's interesting is in prison, you're expected to what is called clean up your own trash. So he would fall under one of the white gay. I'm speaking on California terms. I know it's different in
Yes,
the Midwest.
Wisconsin.
I know it's different on the East Coast in prison. I understand that it is not separated by race like it is in California and Arizona and the West Coast. So whatever faction he is involved in, they would have to take care of him themselves.
Whatever
So,
faction, you mean race?
yeah, it's different in the Midwest. It's split up more by gangs than it is by race.
Oh, okay.
For whatever reason, the race separation in prison is like inherently a West Coast thing. It's not even like that in on the East Coast.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys are right. Wisconsin. Sorry, I said Michigan. Yes, Wisconsin. You'd think I would know the difference, but they all seem the same up there.
Yeah.
Even though we're super close to both of them. But yeah, AR said he'd have to be handled by someone like him.
Yeah. And it wouldn't be it would be a serious handling too. So for anybody that doesn't have a lot of knowledge in the system, there's two different ways to clean up your own trash, or where people take care of their own. And I'll use this as an example. So like the Sereños in California, what they do is they'll get knives. Like if you mess up, but it is not a life-ending mess up, they'll get their knives and they'll put these guards on it to where the knife blade is a 1/2 inch to 1 inch long, and then like, stab you, their own people. Yeah. But it won't kill you, but it will be awful. It'll be one of the worst things ever and beat you down, but for what Chris Watts did, yeah, he's his only option is to stay separated. And I won't be surprised if the guards help create an overlap eventually.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully he's just in I mean, not hopefully. I really don't care what happens to Chris Watts, but I'm sure which prison he's in is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, Mike, we just did a story. We just did a news update.
He is in protective custody
on Derek Chauvin.
Yeah. Yep.
That one too. So just keep an eye out for that. That should come out in the next few days.
AR talked about that too. And
he did?
Yeah, he did.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I saw it after we recorded that. But yeah, it totally makes sense.
When you're part of that criminal life for a good amount of time, like AR was or I was, you can't help but your mind go there with these things. So I would assume that AR and myself would be very interested in the same stories. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And prison politics is interesting, you guys. It is super interesting once you understand it. I've never done prison time. Never, ever, ever. I have only been in situations where I've been held with people who have done prison time. And I have, certain knowledge of that. I've been in institutions where I had to follow prison politics rules, but it was not prison. So
why AR said he can only stay in Wisconsin for 5 years before he goes back to Colorado. Why is that?
I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to look into it. But prison politics do suck, but I feel like that's what makes them interesting too, because it is survival of the fittest. It is just wild stuff. But the 5 years thing, I don't know. I can only think that he's doing his time there. Did he catch a single charge there first before his case? No, then
he got transferred there for his safety. Is it federal? I thought.
Okay, so then it's federal.
He's on a trade program. Every state has.
Oh yeah, okay.
Those contracts. Yeah. Okay.
California notoriously has those with Georgia. I think it's either Georgia or Alabama.
So that's
I don't remember.
His safety, correct? So they're hoping to get enough time between his crime and so enough time passes that hopefully it won't be all over the news and prisoners won't really know about it.
No, you're contracted out and you only get a certain amount of time. Will they make an exception for him? I have no idea. I don't know.
But why the contract is what I'm asking.
Because you're a prisoner of a specific state, so you have to contract that prisoner's time out to a different state and prison. You got to remember, these prisons are privately owned.
Yeah, okay.
So if you do a crime in Chicago, you are owned by the state of Illinois. You are owned by them.
Oh, I understand that, but see, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I was saying, is it for his safety? Which it sounds like yes.
I don't know. I don't know if there doesn't have to be a reason. In California, there doesn't. In California, they got contracted to Alabama and Georgia or whichever one it was, just because they're full. It wasn't because
that's the reason. It's because they have too many prisoners. But in his case, I don't think that was it. I think it's that they were afraid to put him in prison in Colorado because of how horrific his crimes were and how big of a deal it was when it was happening.
I don't know, man. I don't
but
think
that's
so.
That's what AR thinks. It's like he's high profile, so they moved him there to let things diffuse and his name lessen in the news, which makes sense to me because, I mean,
that's just not going to get let go. There is no amount of time.
I agree. I agree with you, but there is enough time so that if it happens, like, it's not as big of a deal in the news. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it, but what I would look into is what their housing situation is there. I think that is what's important.
For instance, if Derek Chauvin, if he or something like that, if he were stabbed in prison, like within the year that he was convicted and put in prison, it would have been a huge political conversation.
Oh, I don't think
because
so.
Everybody was thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't.
Everybody
think so.
Was still on that.
I get where you're going, but I just don't think Derek Chauvin's a good example.
Okay, but anybody that's a high profile inmate is what I'm saying. And it's a really big deal at the time. Like, if they get hurt in prison, I think it'll be a bigger deal because that's all fresh in everybody's minds than 5 to 10 years later down the road. And then nobody's really going to care. Like, oh, Chris Watts got stabbed. Nobody really cares anymore, except for like true crime nuts.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that any prison system is going to bend over backwards and go out of their way to try and keep someone like that alive. I just don't see that happening. But
I think for 5 years, and then after that, they're like, screw you.
Yeah, I don't think so. My opinion is that's not it.
But yeah, I don't think after 5 years, when he goes back to Colorado, I don't think they're going to care anymore.
I just don't agree. I just think that they don't care already. There's got to be something else to it, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, you guys can let us know what you think.
Because I don't think it makes them look bad necessarily when that happens.
I think it does.
I don't.
But anyway.
There's nothing that you can do to stop that.
I mean,
as long as they're following all the protocol, all the prisons are safe and they follow the protocols, but there are just ways around those protocols. The protocols are not sticking hands in people. You know what I mean? So I had a friend that got, a 9-inch shank into a courtroom because that was the only time that they could get a hit on this guy. A 9-inch shank. Yeah. Yeah. In the California pocket. Yeah. So.
Yeah, no worries. It's an interesting conversation to have. I actually changed the subject to Chris Watts because I was curious about all of it.
Yes. Okay. So let's get into it. Welcome everybody to the True Crime Talk Show, the one and only. We just watched the Weidrich.
Thought it was Why Derek.
I don't know. It's one or the other. So when I was checking the last name, it said it both ways. So Joseph Wyderick or Joseph Weidrich, depending on where you're at in the world. So it could be either of those. If I'm hacking it one way, I apologize. I don't mean it in a bad way, obviously. So we just covered that case. And the reason why we covered that case, why I thought that was important, is we have been digging into the 4chan theory. And that 4chan theory, there are so many people out there that believe these fraternities are not capable of this. And we have Moscow that's had a 0 for homicides for like multiple years. And I think that there is history out there that can prove otherwise, that these fraternity men are capable of this. I mean, every day we see kids that are 12, 13 years old committing similar crimes. Why would somebody think that a fraternity dude that's yoked out of his mind, super in shape, is not capable of committing a crime like this? I think that is absurd, in my opinion. And I think that there could be a history of proof showing that there are situations where this did happen, therefore making the possibility of making somebody saying that's not possible, not arguable.
So for me personally, I do not feel like why Derek's death proves that that is possible.
You're right.
What it does is it creates a history, okay, of deaths around the fraternity that raises red flags where you're like, now there are cases within fraternities that murders have happened that would prove that it's possible. I promise you those exist. This is really just specifically about Moscow and these fraternities and their way of life, the way they handle things, the secrecy, because there's many deaths that have happened in surrounding these fraternities that are extremely questionable, and the deaths were ruled very odd things. Like, how can you drink yourself on purpose to death?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I agree 100%. I don't think this proves anything. This does not prove, but what it does prove is how many coincidences are there in a murder. There becomes a time where you have so many situations of this, similar to like Smiley Face, okay? You have all these college age men where if you take any one of those situations and it stands on its own, there's nothing weird about it. This person just accidentally drowned and they were drunk and didn't know what they were doing. But then when you look at all of them, you're like, oh, wait, statistically, that doesn't make sense. And you have such a small town like Moscow, and then you have these situations, multiple of them that appear the same, that have the same outcome, that were handled and managed in a very similar fashion, all around a town that's claiming a 0 homicide rate and is ran by fraternities.
Yeah.
There comes a time where it's like, okay, that is a lot. That is a lot of coincidences to say, I don't know.
So what do you think about the argument that people drink themselves to death on purpose every day? So it's not that big of a deal.
Wait, what?
So specifically what we're talking about is, I don't feel like something that ever happens, is consuming enough alcohol in one sitting for you to die.
Yeah.
Like on purpose. Like your intention is to die.
Yeah, I've never heard of that happen ever. I've never met someone in my life that was like, hey, I am going to end myself by beer bonging hard liquor or something like that. I've just never heard of that. Is it possible? I'm sure it is possible. But you have, in this situation, a good kid with parents that say, the whole time he's been with us, he hasn't partied like this. This is outside of his character. He was going to school to be an architect. I know I said, what did I say? I don't remember what I said, but he was going to school to be an architect.
He was on the dean's list.
Yeah. And he was a really good kid that was trying to make connections with Fraternity and Greek Row to rush once it came that time to do it. And contractor, thank you, J. Ray. I said contractor, but it's architect. He was going for an architect. And so you have this really good kid that seemingly has everything together. And, the night he goes to Greek Row to party, walks away with, according to law enforcement's story, a 0.3 alcohol level, which is borderline coma. Borderline coma. I'm sure you guys have all had those friends that drink so much at any party, where they're the ones that are like wetting themselves when they go to sleep at night. Can't stand up straight, can't talk straight, sitting like this, just barely holding themselves up. That is the level that 0.3 is. This boy walks 7 miles, 7 miles with a 0.3 alcohol level, encounters 2 different homeowners and neighbors in that area, gets a head injury, and goes to sleep under a bridge. That is so convenient because flip the story. If I did something to somebody and I'm thinking in the mind of a fraternity, and I did something to somebody and somehow they got hit in the head, right? So I had a friend that went to prison for manslaughter because they got in a fist fight and were drinking, and this dude fell backwards and hit his head and killed him, right? So let's say something like that happened, and if I want to try and hide it, get it away from me, get rid of any connection to myself, wouldn't I go put somebody under a bridge 7 miles away?
So,
you know what I mean?
have you seen the bridge?
Yeah. What do you mean? It's all over the video.
Okay. Because,
Of course.
I mean, the bridge itself is not like a bridge.
It is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you must have saw a picture when the water was high. But during winter time, the water's low.
Okay. Show me what picture of the bridge you're talking about, because what I saw was not a bridge.
It's a drivable bridge here. Now, hang on.
Where did you see that?
That is the bridge.
That's the okay. So where did you get that? Is what I'm asking. Because
while I was investigating the case, I don't know. It's not like I can give you the link.
Okay.
Why? What are you thinking?
So,
I think I know which bridge you're talking about, and it's not that one, that little baby bridge that only has like 6 inches under it. It's not that.
Are you sure? Because the
100%.
investigators, that's one of the pictures of the case.
No, 100%.
Where the investigators are there, and there's even a memorial thing there.
This is the memorial area. Yeah.
That's another like terrible thing, is that when looking this up, there's not much.
I know. I already know. Yes.
That's the bridge it shows.
This is water way under here, and cars drive over this. This is a big bridge.
You can go to it on Google Maps, and it is tiny. It's nothing.
Yeah, then Google Maps saw it when the water level was high.
No.
Because this cars drive over this.
Yeah, cars drive over it. That doesn't make it big.
I guess I'm confused with what you're trying to say. Are you trying to say somebody can't crawl under it? Are you trying to say...
I'm saying it's a really odd place to squeeze into yourself.
Okay, right. That's what I thought you were saying. So when the water's low and when it's frozen, you can almost walk under it. That's how much space is between the water and the bottom of the bridge.
Okay, but the bridge you were just showing on the video is like a big bridge.
It's this. It's literally this bridge. What do you mean?
That's not possible for it to be the same.
Hold on. We'll show you guys. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so this bridge, okay, with these guardrails right here is the same as this bridge right here. That's the guardrail. The same drop off, the same hump. That's the bridge. Yeah, I'm telling you, the water level is huge in difference.
You're blowing
here.
my mind right now. You're blowing my mind.
I don't know what to tell you.
I wish I could. So I saved the address that I had on Google Maps for the bridge, but now it's like way off.
Either way, it's really not important. So I don't want to get hung up on this because this doesn't change anything in the case.
Okay.
Whether it's a tiny bridge or not, but these two bridges are the same. And you are able to crawl under this bridge where the body was found. Now, the question I have is how convenient is it to roll up to this bridge and I'll show both bridges again, CH. Give me 1 second. So roll up to this bridge right here. It's not even worth obsessing on.
Keep talking. I'm listening to you.
But you're looking at summertime. So
this is not summertime. Apply. This is fall when everything's dead.
You have to look at the seasons because the water level difference is massive.
Okay. It shows it at multiple points. You can, in Google Maps, you can change the year and time. But go ahead.
So for a car to pull up, it is the same bridge. Yep. For a car to pull up here and bring the body out and drop it, that is really convenient and really easy.
See, I know because I've seen it on Google Maps because the other day I took pictures of it. I do not believe that is the same bridge.
I don't know what to tell you, but it is. This is literally a picture from that night. So I don't know how you can say this isn't the bridge.
That's just weird. I'm not understanding why there's a confusion there.
I think maybe you got confused. But when you look up and look at the crime photos, they all show this bridge and they show the house nearby where they think he jumped the fence and walked down this embankment. Trust me, I did a ton of research on it.
So
it's not worth getting hung up on.
Okay.
So I'm just curious how you think it changes the story.
Because a bridge like that you were just showing, like a big bridge up on pillars.
Yeah, this one.
So I have a map here. It's like a little 3D map that showed his exact route that night.
Yeah, I have it on the video too.
And where it shows him ending, there is not a bridge like that. Where it shows him in that map.
Yeah.
When you go to Google Maps and go to that location, it is a tiny little, you can't even call it a bridge. It's like the tiniest bridge ever that goes over a tiny piece of creek.
Yeah, that's like just north of it. That's the walking bridge in the same area, but that's not the bridge his body was found under.
What I'm talking about is not a walking bridge. It is just...
It's the white bridge, right?
Huh?
It's the white bridge?
No, it's not any color. It's just a road that goes over a creek. Like on an old county road, which is what they're showing in that picture that you were just showing.
No. Look at the water level and look at
the water level doesn't matter. That is not a big river. That is a tiny itty bitty creek, and that is not a bridge with pillars. That is just the pavement with basically a gutter going through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other bridge you were showing is one that's up on pillars.
No, it's not. Nope. These two are the same bridges. I think you're thinking it's a bridge like that.
That is not a gutter.
What?
You're showing flowers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm telling you, this is the same bridge.
So Brendan's right. Open it up to theater mode. That's why I don't know why you keep it on that little mode. So that's not a pillar. That is a vase of flowers.
Yeah.
And that is the guardrail at the top. So this whole time with it that tiny, I couldn't.
You need the Jesus. Gosh.
Because this whole time I'm like, that is
pillars. What
that
are you
is
talking
a
about?
giant
Pillars.
bridge. What in the world are you talking about? Yeah, you do need a referee. I just needed to not be blind. But no, you're right. Okay, that's a guardrail. That's a tiny bridge with a little gutter.
Yes.
Okay.
That picture is right here.
I know everybody that was like, what is going on here? Because they were agreeing with me, saw the same thing because it's tiny.
Yeah, but they know that the rule is Malia's always right. I'm the bad cop aggressor. So everyone has to side with you. That's been the rule.
I just wasn't familiar with the flower picture. So when you showed that, it literally, when you don't know what you're looking at, it's that tiny. It looks like a giant bridge.
Yes. I don't know.
You're the one looking at it big and up close and cutting it into a video. So
I mean, I trust you, but so what you were seeing is you thought this was the road. Oh no.
I was like, he's delusional. He's literally lost his mind.
No.
It totally did look like that when it was small. I know. For reals.
That's super funny. But anyways, back to the story.
Yeah,
so
let's move on.
During winter time, you guys, as you can see in this picture here, the water level is super low. And I know that Malia said that it's like a little drain through it, but it's a big cylinder. Like it is a pretty big cylinder.
It's a big gutter
that you can lean down and walk through. So, but it also fills up. I've also seen pictures where there is like inches left underneath this thing. And it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. To me, what I think is, how many times have I seen somebody this drunk crawl into a really bad situation and freeze to death like this when there's literally houses around? And then how many times have I seen somebody drop a body in a similar situation?
So what do you, here's that's also weird, and you're right, and I agree with you, like that would make sense. But what also is weird, because you're talking about somebody dropping a body. He didn't just go to the bridge that night and walk to the bridge and crawl under it. He was in people's homes.
According to the story found online, we don't have, and I was typing that in the chat too when we were watching the premiere, but we haven't got any official documentation yet. But the current storyline on this is he walked 7 miles, and I can pull it up. He walked 5 to 7 miles. Wait. There we go. He walked 5 to 7 miles and talked to 2 different people who confirmed that he was there. And then after all that, fell and hit his head and then crawled to his final resting place. That is so absurd.
I mean, what's absurd is the fact that he walks 7 miles before being so wasted that he falls. It's like, well, then how did he walk 7 miles?
I agree.
But also,
that's what I'm saying. At 0.3, that is comatose level. Like, I don't think people, if you know, you know.
If you know, you know, yeah.
But 0.3 is, can't stand up, can't talk, can't do anything. And the statements made by these neighbors both said they had a conversation with him.
Yeah.
At point 3, you will not be able to have a conversation with somebody and be like, yeah, I thought they were okay.
Oh, wait. Let me ask you a question. And this may seem far-fetched, but is there a way, like, is there anything you can inject in a human to make it I'm curious, did he have alcohol in his stomach and his digestive tract? Is there anything you can inject in a human that would make your blood alcohol level that high without actually drinking?
I mean, yeah, there is, but the
There is?
likelihood of that, yeah, that was one of the theories that we had with the smiley face killers, where, um, what is it? There's 2 different types of alcohol. I don't remember the names, but
Ethyl and ethanol, right?
yes, one is for drinking, and the other is not.
I think
But
there's more than 2.
both of them, well, there are more than 2 in each of those categories, though.
Oh, okay.
So, like, it's a pyramid where they break down into separate different types of alcohols. But one of them could potentially be inhaled or injected or cause somebody to unwillingly have a higher blood alcohol content. And that was one of my theories at one point with the smiley face killers. If it's real, if that's real, is how did these guys get so drunk after being picked up from a restaurant, somewhere in the day where they weren't even drinking? How did they get so drunk? And I've always wondered if it was done in a way like that. So could that be possible here? Sure. Could this be a smiley face killer situation? Sure. Could it be a fraternity messed up and it's a horrible look for the college
A
and they didn't
hazing
want their
incident?
they didn't want their numbers impacted? Sure. Could it be the actual story that we're seeing here? Sure. It could be any of those things. But the whole point to talking through this is, after hearing every detail, what is the most likely here? Me personally, and I'm not a big tin hat person. Like, I love talking about it, but I usually think reality lands in the middle somewhere. It's never the mainstream, it's never the conspiracy, it's usually somewhere in the middle. But I don't think this main storyline makes sense. I don't think you could have a point 0.3 BAC and have 2 different conversations with neighbors who both said they believed that he looked okay and had it together on a night that was so cold that it could freeze somebody to death. That is absurd. And then to hop a fence, to see a weird struggle in the snow, and I haven't talked on that yet, but I wonder if so the second neighbor he talked to, which I corrected on text on the screen here, in the video. Let me see if I can find it real quick. The second neighbor he talked to sent him across the street. Okay. Down. Wait, no. Okay. So the second neighbor he talked to says they sent him across the street. It was a woman, and she said she didn't open the door. Makes sense, right? A guy standing there. It is the early morning hours, 1, 2, 3 a.m. She didn't want to open the door for him. I get it. She says she sent him across the street, and the police report, based on what I could find, remember, I don't have the actual one yet. Based on what I could find, the police said the tracks in the snow made it look like he was trying to flag somebody down. How do you flag someone down with your feet? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, the footprints couldn't be an indicator of flagging anybody down. That makes 0 sense at all. Where'd that map go?
It's the video.
Oh, okay. You should just have that map pulled up.
Yeah, what is going on here? It's being strange. Sorry, guys. There we go. Okay.
So which So
Jeez,
on
this is being lame.
what is that?
I don't know what is going on here. Hang on. I'll get the map. I just got to reload it.
Because I can send you this link and you can just.
No, this is a bigger picture than that link is.
No, it's not. I have it huge on the screen.
Okay, so
it shows that from D Street, okay, that there's footprints going to number 3, which it says D Street turns into a private road and walked over a hill through the snow to Darby Road. So it shows a trail of footprints, and that's like, I know you guys probably can't see it super well, but
yeah, they can see your mouse, so just highlight it.
This is the University of Idaho. I want the map bigger, I really do. University of Idaho is right here if you can see me circling it, okay? Which I know it's kind of hard to see. And then up here is Highland Drive where he's spotted, and then right here is where it's D Street. Right here. That's D Street. Yeah. And then it shows a trail of footprints up to Darby Road right here.
Well,
is that where they're
doesn't show it up to Darby Road. It shows that he turned onto Darby Road and they lost track of the footsteps literally right after he turned onto Darby. So it does not show him coming all the way up here.
What?
Yeah, it does not. It was a very short set of footprints according to them, but remember, like,
and that's where he was supposedly flagging somebody down.
Do we know? No, he flagged him down from the second neighbor, so it's
up
right
by
here,
the bridge,
right here. Knocks on the door at Mountain View Road. Boom.
Okay, so that's like at the end of his journey.
That is at the end of his journey. Correct. Yep. Correct.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense how they could say it looked like he was flagging somebody down by his footprints.
I agree. It doesn't add up to me either. Hey, new member, Carmela Cole. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yes,
super stoked to have you. Part of the Thought Riot. But yeah, how do you?
I don't know.
How do you?
So that didn't come from a witness account or camera or anything like that. They just said the footprints made it look like he was trying to flag somebody down.
So, yes, that's what it says, that the footprints were it looked like they were trying to flag someone down. Now, what's interesting is based on everything that I can find, which was on 3 different reports, police said they tracked him via footprints and cell phone. So the only option is there had to be some kind of app on his phone because they are not tracking him via tower.
Wait, what year was this in again?
There were phones. Yeah.
There were phones, but considering how bad the coverage is right now, I don't have much faith in it being that good like a decade ago.
Yeah, I think it was like 2011, right? I'm getting these mixed up. So let me just verify what year it is because we have
2013.
Yeah. Well,
or was it earlier than that? Pretty sure it's 2013, but I don't know.
Yep. Yeah. So 2013. Yep. So what smartphones were out in 2013? Yeah, so you had the iPhone 5.
Not too bad.
No, and the Galaxy Note was out. So the only option, they aren't doing it via cell phone triangulation. It's not possible there. Unless This is a big unless they had more towers back then, which doesn't make sense because that is during the time of 3G connection, not 5G, and 3G goes way further. So technically there should be less towers, which would make it harder to triangulate. So he must have had some kind of app on his phone then. If
Like
that's what they're
Find
saying.
My iPhone.
Yeah, and we're best faith assuming.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it had to be something like that. Or like his parents were tracking him with one of those like family apps or something.
Something. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't go into the details, which again is a problem that we see in Idaho is the lack of details. You never know when people are going to be interested. People care about their society. People care about other people, even though it doesn't seem like people do. People do. So to withhold all these details, especially in a situation where you feel like it was an accidental death, why? What's the point? What is the point?
Well, I think CH made a really good comment. Essentially, they find, okay, a university student drunk and has passed away from, I guess it's an easy assumption that they were being reckless and drunk and young and made a mistake. Got too drunk and, fell, hit their head, and died.
Yeah.
Froze to death. It's an easy assumption, and I guess it is like the most simple answer, which usually is the right answer. But
Eh,
in this case, it's
not
just
when it
not.
comes to murder
But when
normally.
I mean, that's not, I mean, it depends.
If
It
this
depends.
is a homicide type situation, it's
Well,
usually not the simplest.
it just doesn't make sense.
That's what I'm
Once
saying.
you look at his whole journey of that night, it doesn't make sense that he just was too drunk, fell, hit his head, and crawled under a bridge and froze to death.
Yeah, and I think where I'm going with that too is not that a simple answer isn't possible. It's that we shouldn't accept that ever. Everything should have been checked. Everything should have been checked.
Yeah, if they rule it an accident, though, I don't think they'll go that deep into it.
Yeah, but you got to be able to rule it an accident.
True.
So
But yeah, this was in 2013. Somebody was asking
since
again.
2010 in this area, I believe it's 5 or 6.
Huh?
Not including Idaho 4.
What's 5 or 6?
Dara just asked how many Greek life deaths since 2010. Not including the Idaho 4, I believe it's 5 or 6.
Oh.
So, and they've been rocking that 0 homicide rate, which again, you guys, that is very good for the school.
Right.
I don't think it's easy to overlook how important that 0 is, because what does it really matter in a lot of towns other than some report in some magazine saying this is one of the safest places to live? It doesn't matter, except when an entire town depends, their livelihood depends on that dang school.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So we don't have enough information here to say the police did something wrong. We don't have enough information to say this story isn't exactly what it is. We don't have enough information to say something different happened. We don't have enough information. What we're hoping to do is show a history of not enough investigations done, questions answered, transparency given. Not to call out the police, but because this is the judgment of the justice system in this area. It is our job to do that.
Yeah, so I just want to ask a question. What do you think the culture within Greek life, okay? Because even though there's separate fraternities, there is like a Greek life. Like they all intermingle, they're all a part of that. There's secrecy, they're sworn to secrecy, or putting the fraternity above all, above everything. What and say, you know, they do hazing secretly, okay? They do it secretly because it's part of the tradition. It binds people together, and it's what they do, okay?
Yep.
But sometimes people die. So, and they can't have that coming back on the fraternity or the university. It needs to go away.
Yep.
What kind of culture do you think that breeds among the students and people who are within these fraternities?
I can tell you exactly what culture it breeds. It breeds
Moscow.
no, I mean, yeah, but it also breeds the where did I have those floating letters? So
I wasn't asking you. I was more asking the viewer. Like just to ponder that
yeah,
because I
I
think
mean,
it's
the
important.
statistics are what's important in that. And that's
Yeah,
what I was trying to
go
find in the
ahead.
video is the statistics. The two most important statistics, in my opinion. Well, okay, three. Three most important statistics are um 45%. So almost half of all fraternity men leave their college years with a drug or alcohol dependence. Okay. Number one, that is an absurdly high percentage. Almost half leave with an addiction. Two, fraternity men are 300% more likely to assault somebody else.
That statistic is insane for me.
Insane. And these are all pulled directly from I think it's nhsa.gov or whatever, one of the .gov sites that track the statistics around drug, alcohol, assault, things like that. So I just did the 300%, the 45%, and then three, sorority women are 6 times more likely to be sexually assaulted. So there's your culture. That's it. Now, how do we feel like it's impossible for homicide, for manslaughter, for something like that to not come into play here? Those statistics are scary stuff.
They are scary.
You have assaults, alcohol and drug use, and sexual elements like that at an absurdly high percentage, 300%, 600%. Almost 1 in 2 leave with an alcohol dependence or drug addiction.
Yeah, and in that kind of culture, you're gonna have people who are still good people,
Oh,
okay?
for sure.
Like, that were
Yeah.
raised right, that have good head on their shoulders, that are a part of it for, you know, the networking and the benefits you get from it. And then but then you're gonna have people who are going to take things to an extreme, always, who
Yep.
don't have a good head on their shoulders, who are a bad egg, okay? They just are, and they're gonna take advantage of the privileges that they get from a fraternity like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like having lawyers on demand to fix things for you.
Yeah.
Having people sworn to protect you and keep your secrets.
And remember that like what she's referencing is the Sigma Chi. What's it called? I just had it. I'm having an ADHD moment.
I don't remember the name of it, but you pulled up pictures of it.
It's the problem solving group, the risk management. So Sigma Chi has their own in-house risk management team. How what's that for culture? You have so many issues that you need to have your own risk management team? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's terrifying.
it is.
So I go back to how does it not make sense? And all of this can be tied into the Idaho 4 because could Koberger have been involved in this madness and there's more to the story? Absolutely. Could Koberger have been directed to do this crime? Absolutely. And have some sort of involvement here. Could Koberger not have anything to do with this? And the 4chan theory is correct, where he's the patsy and two main culprits could have done this. Absolutely. Based on all the statistics we see, that makes perfect sense. But the one thing that I don't understand is people trying to come out and say this is impossible from a frat.
Yeah, people are saying that the Idaho 4 murders are impossible from a frat. But yet, at the same time, Koberger was a college student. He may not have been in a frat, but he was a college student, same as the rest of them. He was a little bit older, but why does that matter? And there are older people in Sigma Chi. So, I mean, why is it so far-fetched that another college student couldn't have done this? Why do we look at Koberger like he's not just another college student?
Like, you want me to answer that?
No.
Oh.
I'm just asking that question because
Yeah.
people are looking at all of the victims and all the fraternity members as children,
Yeah.
but not Koberger. And I fully understand he was like 27, 28, something like that. I get that.
Yeah.
But there are those age of people going to the University of Idaho too.
Yeah.
Or am I wrong? Is there nobody there? I mean,
No, absolutely. There are people that go to that college that are going for their doctorate. Okay. So normally that is, 7 to 10 years of schooling.
yeah.
So if you start at 18, your best turnout with no hiccups, no any additional schooling courses, anything like that, you're looking at best at 25, 26 to 30,
Yeah.
or 28. So yeah, I think it's totally possible. I think 100% it's possible. One thing that we try and do here, is help people see bias, or that's my goal. I don't know if it helps. I have no idea if what we say helps people try and look at their inner bias, but bias is everywhere. I'm biased. You're biased. Everyone's biased. There's no way not to be. If you're not a sociopath, you have bias in you due to trauma, life experiences, all the things that make us human. Now, that bias, if left unchecked, can cause us to look at things in a not so honest and upfront way for ourselves, because there's some kind of emotional buy-in of why we want it to go this direction instead of that direction, right?
Yeah.
It could be anything, just any kind of emotional tie, right? And using Idaho 4 as an example, let's say you really connect with the victims because you have kids that are the same age and you couldn't imagine what you would do in that situation if this was one of your kids. So it pulls you into some kind of emotional connection to this case and story, right? And that's why you are so bought into learning about it, following it through, finding out the details, helping look for who could have potentially done it, whether it's Koberger, whether it's somebody else, no matter what it is, right? So emotionally, you are drained from looking in, and I'm just going down a theory here. Emotionally, you are drained from looking into this case, right? So if you're that person and you are just drained, you've had enough, but you can't stop looking, but you've had enough, but you can't stop looking. The easy answer is to assume Koberger did it, right? Without looking into it.
Well,
without looking
okay.
into the possibility of other people. That's the easy outcome.
Here's the thing, is that everybody likes to say, okay, the simplest answer is usually the correct one. But is Koberger the simplest answer?
Yes.
Is my question to you, because he's not.
Yes, because he's in cuffs. You're missing what I'm meaning.
No, yes, you're right to us now, but to investigators at the time, he was not the simplest answer.
Right, but I was speaking on behalf of a viewer having a bias because of an emotional buy-in to this case because there's some relevance between them and the victims.
Yeah.
So in that situation, yes, Koberger is the easy answer.
Yeah.
Because then the guy is got, right? He's got. There is no more wondering how many how many sociopaths are out walking around outside, putting your family and life in danger. Danger.
You saw you had a speech impediment for a minute.
So Koberger's the easy answer there. But is it the right answer if it doesn't make sense? That's what that. And there is no answer to that question. There isn't any answer.
It makes sense when you look at it at face value because of the evidence only, like the proposed evidence. Is like, well, because that's the argument you hear. I mean, we have to go back and look at the other side, okay? What people are arguing that believe he's guilty. It's like, well, how many coincidences are going to stack up until you admit he's the guy? Like, cell phone shows him in the area. You know, his DNA is on the knife sheath. You know, he behaved differently according to his students before and after the crime. He had multiple situations with women that did not turn out good. People said he was weird. You know, there's so many things. And the car, he drives the car that was seen, and it stacks up, right? But then
when you get granular,
you see that there's been a huge character assassination campaign from the beginning. Okay, and you don't know what's real because nobody that close to him has spoke up about him. And those that have, like his friend that he was friends with, didn't say he was a weirdo. That girl that was like BFFs with him for a while, she didn't say he was a weirdo. She said they had a good relationship till he got on drugs.
Yeah, and that's just the baseline. You can look into any of those singular pieces of evidence at a granular level pulled out of the grand scheme of, you know, this painted picture of like what you're talking about, and things don't add up.
Well, yeah, then the cell phone data, then the DNA, you're like, whoa, weird, okay? And it's all like the DNA is the one linchpin. Like that, honestly, no, it's not the linchpin. Dylan's the linchpin. The thing that the DNA is the glue that's holding the theory together.
Yeah.
The moment that DNA is disproven or enough reasonable doubt is brought to the table, you're like, I don't know if I can believe this DNA anymore.
Yeah.
You know, this is like it seems like they stretched too much to make it fit or something, you know. That's going to be the moment the entire case falls apart.
Yeah, but to be honest though, I think all the evidence is just questionable enough, except for the cell phone, because I mean, those of you who have been here for a while,
when people are like, okay, whatever, the DNA is off the table because they're not going to include it in court, which they were always going to include it in court, you guys, just not the IGG.
I don't agree.
Oh, they were absolutely going to include the STR in court. They just never wanted anybody to know about the IGG.
Then they were trying to hide that because the request says keep the DNA out. It does not say keep the IGG out. It does not say keep the SNP out. It says,
do you know why?
Keep the DNA
But do you know why?
Why?
Because that was before they ever did a buccal swab and they didn't have that match. All they had was the IgG and his dad's DNA.
It doesn't matter.
So if they didn't get a match, then they would have never brought it to the table after the fact.
Right. And I feel like that point is selling my
point.
But
they got a
match.
They
weren't confident that they were going to be able to get that match. Otherwise, why ask to keep it out, all of it? Anyone that says that they just wanted to keep the SNP out, not the STR, that's not what the documents say. And I wish I had it here. I wasn't expecting to bring this up, but the documents say DNA. DNA.
Yeah, because I get what you're saying, but that's because all they had was the IgG, and they were like, "Oh man, none of this is looking good." But it's
No,
enough.
they did
What?
not only have the
And
IgG.
his dad's DNA.
If the PCA is correct, they had that STR already. They're claiming that they were the ones that ran the STR. That doesn't make sense.
Right. But they had the STR, they did the IgG, and they got his dad's DNA. And then after that is when they got the bugle swab after they wrote that document.
Yeah,
they
but
wrote that document
they-
like that because they were not going to include any. They
Any
never
DNA.
planned. No, they never wanted anyone to know about the IgG.
Agreed.
And Taylor called them out on that.
You're saying IgG. I don't think they wanted to use any DNA because the document says DNA.
So I think you're right, but that changed once they got the bugle swab match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's important to say. They didn't want to include any DNA.
Yeah, but
they
didn't have their full case yet.
Okay, but if you were arresting someone and you believed that they were truly that person, why on earth would you not include the DNA? The only reason is if you're not confident
because they didn't have
that DNA is going to match.
Because they didn't have it.
It doesn't matter.
They didn't have a match.
It doesn't matter. If you're at the point that you're getting an arrest warrant, then that you should be pretty dang confident that is your suspect. So then why not include it?
Because they don't ever want to include the IgG stuff.
I am not talking about IgG. I've clarified that a lot. We're talking STR.
Okay, but
they said DNA.
But the issue is the IgG is all they had.
That is not true.
Yes, because the STR,
they already attempted to run it through CODIS at that time.
You're right.
So they had the STR.
They had an STR that they ran through CODIS. Yep. They did the IgG, which is the only thing that gave them a lead. The STR did not. So the STR's on the back burner for when they try to compare it to a buccal swab.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So if they had the right guy, they would be confident that would match. So why not include it?
Because they don't want anyone to know about it. Obviously, I don't know why we're arguing this.
I don't understand how you don't understand that. So what that situation proves is that they weren't confident in their decision that he was it.
Yeah, agreed.
Otherwise, they did not ever say we want the only the IgG and the SMP left out. They said DNA, all of it.
Yeah,
that's what the document says. So it's not just that the whatever profile or whatever. It was all of it.
It was a fail safe.
I understand.
It was a fail safe.
That's
it
not
was
what
a
the
way,
document says.
It was a way that I feel like it was a way for them to be able to have a way out of like not using the DNA if they wanted to. Dude,
because
if you get an STR match with a buccal swab, there's absolutely no chance in hell they are not including that in a trial.
Then why would they say that they're not including DNA? You're arguing a point that was never made.
Because of the issues that they went through, I think, to get that DNA.
But according to the PCA, they didn't go through any issues to get the STR.
They're lying.
They just had a non-matched profile sitting there waiting for their suspect to be arrested and have the search warrant to get the buccal swab and then compare it to that. So why would you ever say we don't want any of the DNA?
Because of the IgG and all the stuff that they went through to get it.
No way.
So what's your answer then?
Because they weren't confident in their suspect.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And also they were lying.
I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think that it proves that they have a weak case. I don't think there needs to be lies included. I don't think there needs to be any of that. I think they were not confident that Brian was going to be the guy, that there was not going to be a match. They thought they were going to be able to build a case based on what they got from the car. They didn't ever want the DNA in. Never. Any of it. The STR, none of it. They didn't want any of it in.
Tell us your question, J. Ray. So look, when I say IgG,
and I can find the document, you guys. I'm sorry we're talking about this and I don't have it. but I will post it on our notes. The document says DNA in general. I'll find it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even remember the name of the document, but you
It's-
guys know the one. It's the one where they're talking about not using the DNA they found on the knife sheath, but they want it for a warrant. And Andrea Burkhart covered it, and she said she thought it was because they obtained it illegally, probably. But yes, thank you, Ian, for alerting us. J. Ray has a question because apparently it's very, very important. I wasn't trying to be like mouthy. Sorry, that came out really weird.
Yeah, you guys, obviously, Malia's always right. I get it, but we're inserting narrative when there is none. We're saying that this is why they were doing this, and why? How can we do that? We can't say, "Oh no, let me clarify for them. They actually meant this."
So
that's not an okay
so
thing
what
to do.
what I truly think is going on there is I think they wanted to hide their means of getting it, and I think that you are also right, and they weren't 100% sure Brian was the guy.
I just
them not being 100% sure about their suspect, I do not think is enough of a reason for them, because that's just not true. That's just not true. They will do IgG and all of that stuff and be unsure if that's actually their suspect and still include it. That doesn't make sense. I think the only way that it could be hidden in that way is that something was not right. They did not want to be transparent about something. And is that this has been my theory for a while now, is that they prematurely cleared all leads and suspects to do the IgG, to fast track this investigation, to get it solved as quickly as possible for the university.
I'm talking about his arrest warrant. The arrest warrant is one of them. One of the documents. I can pull it up. I just don't have it handy because I didn't plan on talking DNA.
I think it's a search warrant.
It says that they did not want to include DNA, and it literally says DNA.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
It doesn't say anything about SNP. It doesn't say anything about any of that. It says that they did not want to include DNA. So I just don't feel like it's okay for us to, give the state reasons why, when I mean it says DNA. If they wanted to be more particular, they would have been. So I don't know if they were trying to hide a lie. All I know is they didn't want that DNA. And it could be one of two things. Either they weren't confident in the test, which was going to blow up and throw their whole case. They didn't believe that DNA they found on the button snap was going to match Brian Kohberger or not. And I think that is very telling.
Okay.
That is a very big deal.
I have a point to make, but first let's shout out Mikey and Ashley.
Yes. Mikey coming in hot.
Yes, thank you so much, Mikey. I'm not sure who got that, but welcome and congratulations. We appreciate the support, Mikey.
Yes. And Ashley also coming in hot.
I'm Tennessee, you got the membership. Yay.
I'm not mad, but I can pretend to be mad if it brings a good show.
We're not mad. Neither one of us are mad.
Convo.
Yeah. I think people mistake passion for like anger sometimes. We're not mad. Like, these are our brains working real hard, okay? We're getting a brain workout. We're talking.
Yeah.
We're passionate, okay, about our arguments. Okay, so here's my point. But thank you, Ashley. Oh, thank you, Ian. Shout out to Mikey and Ashley. Ian just sent a super chat. Okay.
All right. Ian, are you all good? Like, are you back?
Are you back from Argentina? I hope you had safe, happy, great, wonderful travels. All the
Yeah,
good things. Okay, so yeah, passion equals anger. That's exactly right.
right.
Healthy discussion. That's right. Okay. So here's my point.
I'm the instigator, the
Look,
aggravator.
I think at this point in time, we need to listen to Bill Thompson and what he has told us. And the fact that the DNA, okay, the STR and the IgG are two completely separate things.
No, I don't think so.
They are not
They're separate when they're
not
said
to
as separate.
us. Not to us.
Yeah.
But to the state and what they are presenting as evidence in court, they are entirely separate.
If
that is the entire basis of the parallel construction, that the
document
IgG
says it's
is the
separate.
starting point and that the STR is the second construction along with the car and the tip and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But the IgG is the actual starting point. But these things are totally separate.
We just don't
to
know
the
that.
state. Yes, Bill Thompson does not want the IgG in court.
Okay, but
we already know that from everything he
clear
said.
between opinion and
That's not
court
opinion.
documents. If it's not said in court documents, then it is not case fact.
Bill Thompson has said they are only bringing the STR compared to the buccal swab.
I understand that's what they've said. He made a statement while standing and they were talking about this, but that is after it got called out. So that's why I'm arguing that point about the DNA being brought in, because the state never gave this explanation. So if we want to give reasons why it says DNA and not IgG, SNP, or STR, then we've got to be able to have some kind of evidence behind that.
Well, I think the evidence is the fact that now, because look, there is not any chance ever that investigators and a prosecutor are going to get an STR match to a buccal swab and not include that in court unless it was illegally obtained. There is
that document is pre-buccal
it's
swab,
not even, you're right. That was my whole point. That's why I brought it up. Yes, it's pre-buccal swab.
Yeah.
Which is why I think they generalized it that way. That's why they just said DNA, because they didn't have that yet. So they just generalized DNA.
Includes all of that. So when you ask to not include the DNA, you are literally saying that you are not going to include the STR. You are not going to include the SNP. You are not going to include the familial whatever. You're not going to include any of that.
And that makes sense with Bicca Barlow's statement that it was partial and ambiguous.
I agree. That's literally what I've been arguing. But for whatever reason, you're assuming that DNA means this over here when it means everything. And I get it. I hear you. There is never a case in the world where they're going to find DNA on the victim's body and have it match, an STR match at the 99th percentile. There is no way that's not going to be brought into court. But that is what they were saying. That is what is said.
What I think,
everyone that says that that's not what they meant, there is no evidence of that yet, because that's what the document says.
That's why
I understand things change, but why at that point did they not want to include it at all?
Because I think that was their fail-safe. If this doesn't pan out the way we want it to, we want to be able to go back and say, look, we were never going to include this. Because look, we knew it wasn't good evidence. We knew that there were issues there. We were never going to include it. I think it's a fail-safe.
I don't understand that, because they aren't leaving themselves a fail-safe. They're setting themselves up just to lie.
I agree with you. I don't think it's very smart. But I do think that is the purpose. Why else say that? Other than, look, we were never going to include it. I don't think they wanted
to include it at all.
Well, I think
period. I don't think ever. I think everyone else.
Then why is it included?
I think everyone else is making the assumption that, they always wanted the STR.
Then why is it included?
because the defense knows about it. And you can't not include it because it was part of
They were always going to have
arrest
to turn it
warrant.
over. They were always going to have to turn that over, though, and they knew that.
They didn't know that. They didn't know that. That's why they were asking the judge to keep it out. Just because they were asking in hopes to have this kept out. But it's the judge's decision. It could have been equally as kept out as brought in.
Yeah, they were always going to use the DNA. I don't agree.
I understand.
But
That's
just
your opinion,
I
but
think they were hiding their work is what they were doing. That's just my opinion. Now, could I be wrong? Maybe, but I think they were hiding their work.
Yeah, I think we're arguing the difference in like opinion versus what's being said in court docs. Because I'm not even worried about their intention. Their intention is to win. They don't care who, how, what, when, where. That does not matter. So I'm not caught up on, they're lying about this because of this or because of that. Right now, currently, they did not right now, currently, when that document was submitted, they did not want any of the DNA in. And that brings up a very important question of why. That doesn't make sense. It makes zero sense to have an STR profile that you got off of a potential murder weapon and not want to bring it in. There is no backup. There is no failsafe. You asked the judge not to bring that in.
It's called parallel construction, like we were talking about. You do all the work until you do the IgG until you have this STR comparison, and then you can just not include all the IgG because look, we had an STR sample and we got a buccal swab. That's all you need to know.
I get you keep going back to that, but that's not what it says.
I think that, well, of course, why would it say that?
That shouldn't have ever been asked then, is what I'm saying.
I agree with you. I think it was a pretty dumb decision, but they needed a way to not include it just in case it was bunk, but also use it to investigate further because
the use it part is what gets me. That request does not set them up to be able to use it.
It sets them up to be able to use it specifically for that warrant only, and then be able to say, oh, but it's not evidence, just in case it's bunk.
Yeah.
It was just probable cause.
But it's not. So
it's like smelling a smell out of a car.
All evidence given for an arrest warrant is included in the case. So that's not possible.
Exactly. So they always knew that it was going to be turned over to Ann Taylor and Brian's defense team, whatever, for discovery. They always knew that. But she could never get her hands on the IgG. Yeah. I feel like that's intentional.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why else would the FBI delete all their records on it?
So all us YouTube creators are the ones hyper focusing on IgG. And I think that's important. And I understand the SNP is different than STR.
The defense is focusing on IgG.
But absolutely. The prosecution and the state is not. They are not defining the difference between the two.
Yes, they are.
They are not. I mean, prove me wrong. Pull up a document showing me where the prosecution says one time that we want to bring this up, this STR up, but not the SNP.
Mike Applegate said, I know what's up, and I trust him.
I hear you, but I mean, please do. Please show me, because the only thing that's going to make me change my mind is a court document.
But there's also interpretation there. They speak in legalese intentionally. They do that stuff
DNA
on purpose.
DNA includes all of that. I just don't understand how you're saying they mean this. You're building a narrative that was never there. It's just complete fabrication.
It is not fabricated at all. I'm not building a whole narrative that isn't there. Are you kidding?
They didn't say it. They didn't say it.
What are you okay, I'm going to go back and show you some clips. I'm not going to do it right now because it takes some research and pulling things up, but I will prove it.
Yeah. That's all I want. I just want to understand.
Well, I can't do that right here
I
and
hear
right
you.
now.
I get it. I do. No, I did read them earlier. So I literally am doing a story on this Friday. So I'm 100%
You're
sure.
doing what story?
Just on this topic. I'm not going to get into it.
On this topic that we're talking about right now?
Yep. Yep.
Oh, okay.
So, but please, if you have the prosecution talking about the difference in the two and saying, no, we actually want the STR and not the SNP, please share, you guys. Please do.
So what? You think the state was always going to include the SNP?
No, they didn't want to include any of it. Any of it. There is no fail safe. There is no backup. There is no anything. And that's why it's absurd.
But do you realize the only documentation they have on the DNA is the STR?
No, I mean, that's
That's
not,
all they
that's
have.
not true. It's not December 1st.
What are you talking about?
December 1st, they are supposed to show all of that. Everything.
The IgG.
Yes.
And Taylor did have the STR match with the buccal swab.
Obviously, that came from ISP.
So IgG was always the only thing missing that Bill Thompson absolutely under no circumstances wanted to turn over.
The document I'm talking about is before that. It's before all of that. They never wanted to include any of it. The reason why it's in the case is the defense.
Maybe.
It is not the prosecution. And that's what I'm suggesting people to please prove me wrong. I want to be proven wrong.
The state never wanted to include any form of DNA in this case whatsoever. But maybe it is pushed by the defense, but I don't know.
They didn't.
I don't know. I feel like there was not a shot at all that they weren't going to include it.
Exactly my point. It is strange and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense at all.
All right. Would you guys like to move on?
We can move on. What were we on?
I don't even remember. That was a really, really, really long tangent.
It was all
away
just
from
to be
Joseph
right.
Why Derek? Right. Sure.
I'm joking. I honestly don't want to be right because it would make more sense. What I'm saying doesn't make sense. That's the whole point of why it's weird. When it comes to court,
argued all that for you to say what I'm saying doesn't make any sense.
Of course, because I'm talking about the state's decision in how they're working this case. How they're working this case doesn't make sense. There is no other history of a case being worked like that. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So I said exactly what I meant. I never misspoke in any of the stuff we were talking about. It's 100.
I know what you mean.
I mean,
you just think too black and white for me. The fact that you're like, okay, because they said before they had the buccal swab and the STR match that they didn't want to include any of the DNA means they were never going to include any of it.
No, they already had all of that.
They did not have the buccal swab.
Yes, they did. Not the buccal swab. They had the STR profile, which was connected
according
via
to them,
the
they had that
SNP.
first. According to them, they had that first.
Of course, I know. So which is my whole point. Why it's insane. Because you arrest someone that you believe to be that person. And they had an STR, which was a male, and no confirmation in CODIS. So if they believed that Brian was it, then why would you ever leave that out? I would absolutely be including in my arrest warrant. I would like to arrest him. We have DNA. I believe that we're going to get a match when we arrest him and get a buccal swab and prove that we're going to have a match. Here's the other evidence of why it makes sense to arrest this man.
Can you put the link to Discord in the chat?
Yes. And that's what should have happened, which is my whole argument.
J. Ray said they wanted into his apartment. So what? That warrant was a search warrant for his apartment?
I don't remember if it was the search warrant for his apartment or if it was the arrest warrant right now. There's 2 documents that talk about it, but it's the warrant that it says straight up that we do not want to include the DNA. It's the one everyone talks about where the prosecution says, no limit, generate. But please, I would love to be proved wrong, you guys. This isn't even about me being right or wrong. I don't care. I have no buy-in here. I have no worth in being right. That doesn't matter to me about being right. What's important to me is that the prosecution is working this case in a way that there is no other historical examples. None. Zero. It makes 0 sense not to include an STR profile. So then why ask to keep it all out? I would love to know that question. And if there's a document that defines the difference between SNP and STR, that explains it for me 100%. But there isn't. Did that post?
I don't know. J Ray said, or not J Ray, Ian said, what if y'all make this into a poll? If you want us to make it into a poll, tell me what options you would like on the poll.
Yeah,
and
you guys can make it into a poll, but just understand that I don't believe any people. That's not something that's not evidence. Opinion isn't evidence. So, and I hope you guys don't believe me. Please don't. I don't know what I'm talking about half the time.
It can be used,
but I would love a court doc to.
What can't be used to secure a search warrant? DNA?
I mean, by Idaho law, it can be after you've used all the other avenues or whatever.
Wait, so basically what J Ray's saying right now is that they didn't want to include it as evidence because they can't use it to secure a search warrant? But then why mention it at all?
That's my point. That's not what happened. That's not what it is. It specifically asked, this isn't the right document. Suspect of crime.
Yeah, but if IGG can't be used,
I'm looking at the wrong.
Then why did they even say anything about the DNA in that search warrant? I'm really confused. I guess I'm not reading between the lines right now. Is that the document?
No.
What is that?
I'm not sure. It's the bottom of page. I think this is just a whole bunch of the documents. It's not broken up. This is.
Is this a search warrant for his apartment?
Okay, hang on. That's what it is. Okay. I'm just trying to understand which page here. Because there's like 100.
Yeah, there's 50.
And it's
49.
On 5. It's right. Okay.
It's their way of saying they have a DNA match without using it to secure the search warrant.
Yeah, on what page though?
What page is it on, J Ray, if you don't mind?
Because I don't see it on 5. It's not 5 unless I'm missing something.
Don Daniels asked it by mistake.
Yeah,
she did not understand the IGG is not the comparison from trash at parents to the sheath. Okay, so she's confused. Just as I am confused. Page 5, CH said.
Yeah, I'm on 5.
That's page 3 of 3, so it has to be a different one. Go down. Is that like the first? Yeah, that's the first few pages. Go down.
There isn't.
Go down.
This isn't how the court docs are laid out online, I don't think.
Is that the PCA?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go down.
Yeah, this is
Wait, that's it, isn't it?
No, that's not it. That's just saying that. So I've been informed. That just says that a sheath was recovered. This isn't the. So hold on.
Right here. That's it. That's it. And that's page 6.
Candid at the court.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But I am specifically asking the court not consider this supplemental disclosure as evidence supporting the existence of probable cause. The reason for this request is that if the DNA test results are held inadmissible at some point, which, mind you, when they're saying DNA, they're talking about STR here, such a ruling would not impact the finding of the probable cause for this warrant, so long as this court is satisfied as to probable cause, regardless of the DNA test result. Yeah.
Okay, so that does not say they weren't planning on using the DNA as evidence.
I'm specifically asking the court not to consider the supplemental disclosure as evidence supporting the existence of probable cause.
Okay,
That's asking not to be able to include it as evidence.
No. What she's saying exactly right there, there is no question about it,
Okay,
is that if
it says the word evidence.
It says the reason for this request is if the DNA results are held inadmissible at some point, that won't invalidate this search warrant. So they can't go back and say, well, this DNA is admissible, so you didn't have the right to search his apartment.
Yeah, I get that.
So it's like I was saying, it's something to fall back on and be like, look, if this DNA, because we know there's problems with it or something, I don't know, like if they're worried about it, saying, well, if it's inadmissible later, or it's not like, a real match, or, something's wrong with it, then this doesn't invalidate our probable cause. We had probable cause.
I get it. I get it. They didn't want it.
They were always going to include it as evidence. That does not say they weren't going to include it as evidence.
It totally is saying that they don't want to include it as evidence because if something happens with it, we don't want it to mess up our case. That's literally what it says.
That's not what it says.
And it's only talking about STR.
It's not saying that this isn't going to be used at trial. It's not saying that.
I mean, specifically asking the court to not consider the supplemental disclosure as evidence supporting the existence of probable cause.
Okay. I think you have to read both paragraphs to fully understand.
I mean,
this information is being provided to the court pursuant, and this is talking about how it's a 99.998% match. Okay.
Here, we can just show it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize we weren't. Sorry. Hang on.
Yes, exactly. It's saying they don't want to use it as evidence for this search warrant. But they do use it as evidence for the search
I mean,
warrant.
that is totally not what it says.
Okay, look.
It doesn't say that.
This information is being and they're talking right here about how they got the match, how it's a 99.9998% match.
Yep.
This information is being provided to the court pursuant to my duty and obligation to be fully candid, honest. I do not believe this information is exculpatory for the suspect.
Yeah.
However, if the court believes it's exculpatory, like at some point this DNA is not his, then the court should consider this supplemental disclosure in its evaluation of the existence of probable cause or lack thereof.
Correct. Yep.
But I am specifically asking the court to not consider this supplemental disclosure as supporting the existence of probable cause.
Yep.
So she's saying this should not be included as probable cause for the warrant.
I get that. But you
guys
are acting like these two things are different. All evidence used in a search warrant and an arrest warrant is included in court. Always.
But
always.
But so she's saying she's providing this information to be honest, but it should not be considered as evidence to get probable cause.
Yo, I hear you. I just don't agree.
But that does not mean
they have different functions, but you cannot issue evidence in an arrest or search warrant and keep that out of court.
They aren't keeping it out of court. They're just keeping it. They're just saying this doesn't support the probable cause. So later on, if this gets found inadmissible, you cannot say that my search warrant didn't have probable cause.
Okay.
Honestly, I feel like this is an admittance of an issue in the DNA, if I'm being honest.
Obviously. All I think you're saying is that I'm right.
No, you're wrong.
We're hearing it different because they're asking, don't include this DNA here. Do not include it. Because
only
we don't
for
have
the search
faith
warrant.
in it.
Only for the search warrant.
Oh, whatever. It doesn't matter. You can't separate the two. There isn't search warrant evidence and then case evidence. Like, there's just evidence. That's it.
Yeah. So what's your point?
Because you're trying to say that they're only concerned about the DNA for this search warrant. You get search warrants because of evidence. All that evidence is going to be included in the case.
Yeah, but
except for this one thing, they're saying, no, don't include this. Why bring it up? Like it doesn't make sense.
Agreed.
I'm not going back on what I was saying at all.
No, I agree with you.
The issue is they don't want to bring it up, period.
I agree with you.
All.
This is weird and doesn't make sense, but she brought it up on purpose. Just to say, if it's later ruled inadmissible, it doesn't mess up our probable cause. It's just a part of legal stuff. It's
not. Find another case. Find another case where this is done.
It's weird. I know it's weird. And I'm not talking specifically about DNA in this example specifically, but I've seen in other court documents where they will do kind of stuff like that, where they'll bring yes, because they're constantly using things as like instructive, and they're constantly bringing things up that seem like they might not have anything to do with something, and then being like,
no, not with DNA evidence.
Legalese.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No,
I'm saying this
is an oddity. This is an oddity.
A warrant for an arrest.
I think she messed up. I think it's an oddity. I'm just saying that the language here, I feel like is confusing you.
This doesn't have anything to do with the IGG, and the language isn't confusing me. I understand what you're saying. I think you guys are missing the fact that any evidence included in this is included in court. So why bring it up? Why ask to leave it out? It's already going to be included the second you bring it up. It can't not be. Police are not allowed to do this. They are not allowed to have all this evidence and say, I want evidence 1, 3, 7, and 9 to be included. Leave out 2, 4, 5, and whatever. I don't even remember my numbers. That's not how it works. That is not how it works. And I understand they're doing that. I get it.
So they will bring
and that's
up
why there's
they
a problem.
will bring up the totality of evidence, okay? But then they can also be like, but this they can exclude certain things from certain things. They can do that. They can do that.
No, they cannot do that without the agreement of the defense. They cannot. They cannot.
But what I'm saying, that's not even important.
Once
I'm
it's
not even
brought
trying
up,
to explain
it is
that.
in play. Period.
Agree with you, which I think they
and
knew
it's
here.
brought up.
Yeah, yes, you're right.
and asked not to be included as evidence.
Only for the search warrant.
Dude, oh my gosh.
This does not mean they're not using it in the case. Why else would she bring it up at all?
I mean, you tell me. Why? This is like me saying to you guys, hey, I want to tell you a secret, but no, wait, that example is not going to work. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good one because this is so weird.
No, it's an oddity. No, you're totally right. It's an oddity and it doesn't make sense. Why?
Malia's always right. I'm not even worried about being right, you guys. I'm not. It doesn't change anything. It changes nothing. And there's a reason why Andrea Burkhart said this is problematic. There's an issue here. They only do this if they're hiding or lying about something. I don't agree that they're trying to hide or lie anything. I just think they didn't want any DNA in. And now, since the defense called them on their BS, they have no choice but to bring it in. They can't not bring it in because it makes them look bad. That's my opinion. I do not think that this was some kind of slide just to search his apartment. They had that. They didn't even need to bring up the DNA. Not at all.
That's why it's yeah.
If they wanted to just search his apartment, that whole section would not have been included. It would not have been included. You can't add evidence to a search warrant or arrest warrant and not include it in court. It is in play. 100%.
Yeah. I don't think I think the difference of I think we pretty much agree on a lot, but that I don't think this is saying they weren't going to include it in court. I don't think that was the point of this.
I do. I
think that's where we disagree specifically is that you think this means that they were trying to not include it as evidence in court. But what I don't think this says that at all. I think that they are including it kind of, but also trying to backtrack and say, well, if later this gets found out as like not an okay thing, like it doesn't match, you can't say we didn't have probable cause. It's like a sleight of hand is what it is.
It doesn't change anything for me. Nothing. It doesn't change anything. The second they said DNA and we found this, it's game. So why ask to keep it out? It is a pointless paragraph. It should have either never been brought up or they should have played it out, because the second they said it in this document, it is not just for a search warrant, you guys. It is in play once the arrest happens. Yeah, but that is it.
Yeah, but she is totally saying it's specifically for probable cause for the search warrant. She's not saying trial.
But okay. I understand that's what the words say, but that's not how court works.
Well, now you're not taking it at face value.
No, I'm not, because there are standards of how court works.
Well, you were just telling me to take the documents at face value. You were telling me that I shouldn't explain for her.
You're manipulating that, because I'm not saying they're saying something different. When evidence is brought up, everybody gets to use it in court. It is in court. That is it. It is part of the evidence pool.
Yeah.
Right.
But she's specifically narrowing it to Okay, say
Right,
it's
exactly.
say it is evidence at court. Okay, it's evidence at court, but later on, somehow it gets ruled inadmissible by the judge, and then the defense goes back and says, "Well, you use this as probable cause for this search warrant, his arrest, this and this and this." So now all of that is not okay. You didn't have probable cause, so you need to let my client go.
I hear you. And I
So
understand
she's
where
trying
you're
to
coming.
make that not happen.
I understand that, but that's not allowed. That is illegal, and that's the point.
Maybe it is.
It is 100% illegal. You cannot say, "Hey, judge, I want to tell you this one piece of evidence about this person just to arrest them, but it's not actual evidence." Just kidding when it comes to court. No. What are you talking about? That is illegal. That is not allowed. And I am not asking, I'm not saying that they're making up some additional information. You cannot do that. You can't.
Yeah, but I think they were always going to use it as evidence. I don't think they were going to say this can't be evidence. I think she's literally saying if it gets ruled as not evidence, then you can't go back and say our search warrant was invalid.
I think we have a difference of intention, because I don't think it says that. And there is nothing that is going to make me change my mind unless there's a document that comes up saying, "Hey, we were only talking about the SNP and not the STR," which clearly, I mean, what you were saying earlier doesn't apply here because it is the STR. But it's not going to change my mind unless a court document comes out and says different. They had no idea that this was going to be a match to Brian. None.
The PCA included the DNA.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, so why would it be in the PCA if they're not going to include it as evidence in court?
What do you mean?
Because you're saying they never planned on using it as evidence in court.
Yeah,
They never wanted to. The defense had nothing to do with that PCA. So there's your evidence.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
That doesn't change that this is still saying the same thing.
What?
That, okay, this is setting themselves up to be able to have an out where this still applies, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But then that out applies to everything in court. We're creating this separation between the search warrant and evidence in court. But once it's stated in a document, unless it is changed, that history, that statement, it applies, period. So I don't remember what the exact terms are in the PCA, but
they are that it's evidence. They found an STR. It's evidence. They found a sheath. They got an STR match from the ISP state lab. It's evidence. They were always going to include it, in my opinion.
Okay.
And that's before Ann Taylor ever being on the case.
Yeah, I need to reread that portion.
So I think it is a weird sleight of hand, and I think it's messed up. I agree with you on that 100%.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing okay about this, regardless of who's right. I think we both agree that this isn't okay.
Well, yeah, it's just straight up illegal. It's already in. Nothing has. I'm not arguing to be right.
No, and I'm unsure of like how we should go about debates in the future, because it seems like people get like really like, I don't know, invested. I hope you guys are just as passionate as us, because I saw like some people were like, yeah, I'm out of here. I this is too much. I'm getting a headache. Which I mean it's
our
different.
views are going up, but
it's different than our normal content, I guess. Typically, like, we don't usually debate much, but I find a lot of interest in these conversations, because we're all look, every single one of you that is watching this right now, along with us, are filtering all of this information through our own filter, forming our own opinions. And I think it's really helpful for us to share those and actually have a conversation and work it out. You know what I mean? Because I did not have a full understanding on this completely until I read it.
Yeah, I still
And
don't.
sat here and worked it out in my head. Now I feel like I understand it a lot better.
I'm not refusing to admit I'm wrong. I'm wrong way more than I'm right, you guys.
No,
Do I ever have a problem admitting I'm wrong? Dude, yeah, right. That's not true. The second you were able
No.
to say the PCA, I said, okay,
no,
done.
no. I think you're okay with admitting that you're wrong.
I
you
honestly
don't
think I'm wrong more
look,
than I'm right.
So look, to a normal person,
It's not right now.
you are an alien, okay?
Yeah.
To a normal person, they want you to say, I'm wrong.
I mean,
If you
I'll
don't-
say I'm wrong.
No, you don't make a big deal out of being wrong, though. That's what's weird.
No, I don't. I don't care. I don't need people to think I'm right. As long as I know I'm right, that's all I care about.
Look, to most people, being wrong, it does feel like a bigger deal, but you don't care so much that you're not like, okay, I was wrong, guys. He doesn't do that. He'll just be like, okay, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, all day. I'm wrong. It doesn't bother me at all.
That's
I don't have any ego, you guys. You'll see. You'll see.
No.
If you don't believe it based on that conversation, you'll see. So I believed that until the PCA information, which I need to go back and reread, but I'll admit I'm wrong all day long. I'm probably wrong 90% of the time.
No, it is not Malia in chat versus Brendan.
No, it is.
What?
It is.
No.
Why? I'm the one who can handle it. I want the chat on your side because no one can hurt my feelings. That's just not possible.
All right. But yes, Tony, my #1 fan.
Yes.
It was Monday. He popped in chat and was like, your favorite tier, Malia.
Yeah, of course, J Ray. I've already admitted it like 10 times. If it's in the PCA, which I need to go back and read, I know it's in your document, but everyone's complaining how long we've been on this. But yeah. I'm wrong because Ann Taylor wasn't involved in that time.
No, nobody was trying to hurt his feelings.
No, I don't think anyone was trying to hurt my feelings.
And even if they did try, he wouldn't care.
If everyone ganged up on me, there's nothing that could be said that would hurt my feelings. But some other people are touchy on that kind of stuff, so it doesn't bother me. I would rather have everybody against me than everyone back me against Malia.
So you're trying to protect me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's nice of you, I guess.
Because I can handle it.
Do you think I'm going to go cry in a corner if everybody gangs up on me?
No, but I think that it's different. I just worry what people can say because of how society. I'm not even going to get into that.
Okay, we won't get into it.
But yeah,
he's worried about me.
I have no problem saying I'm wrong.
No, people on the internet can be really, really mean, and he's just being protective, I guess, while calling me out.
I wasn't calling you out at all.
Oh, you were definitely calling me out on the FBI stuff, though.
I was?
Yeah.
I don't think I was.
You were.
But it was good.
It was good, though. I think it was a good conversation. I thought a lot of people that watched that Bicca Barlow video actually really liked that.
Yeah. What was your opinion? I think that
I can't rule out the FBI being corrupt in this case. I
think my point was that it was a flawed argument with get a clue, a biased argument. I don't think that
I'm a little biased towards the FBI too, though. I will admit it. I am a little bit. A little bit. The history of the FBI, it bothers me.
Yeah.
It bothers me. It does. It worries me. It concerns me.
Yeah, not me.
Yeah, not you at all.
That's to me, that's super messed up. That's sins of the father.
I don't want to generalize because I think it's just like regular police officers, and you know that there's going to be good and bad in every organization, and you can't just call it all bad. You cannot.
I mean,
But
that's what that does.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
for sure.
No, because I mean, but
because the FBI
but
did
you-
things that were wrong in the past. I need allergy medicine or something. Because the FBI did things wrong in the past, that means they're doing things wrong now.
yeah, and
That's
you're
literally
like,
sins of the father.
yeah, but okay, so you're of the mind that we should trust until we see problems, right? We should
No,
trust
I don't think
police
anyone
until
should do that. That's just what I do.
okay.
But I don't think it's a good idea for anyone to do what I do. I think everyone needs to make
Well,
their own
that's
decision.
you saying by not going off of the corruption in the past, like, because all I'm saying is that I just don't trust an organization just because they're an organization. Like, just because they're the FBI doesn't, I'm not just going to trust them.
Yeah.
But I feel like you are until you see evidence, which is what
I
you're
do.
saying.
Yeah.
And then you're saying I'm flawed in that.
I think that's a flawed argument. I do. Because that is including everybody.
But it doesn't, because all I'm saying is there's possibility. I don't know. All I'm saying is I don't know, but I can't say absolutely for certainty that there's no way that's possible.
Yeah, I'm just black or white. You either think that someone is doing something shady or you trust that they're not.
Thank you, Art. Did you say thank you?
No, I didn't. We appreciate that, Art. Thank you so much.
Yes, we really appreciate that. Yeah, that's totally true, Mike. Thank you for saying that.
Dude, you guys, this is normal conversation. That's why I think people don't understand that we weren't worked up. This isn't.
No, we
this
were
is
trying
not
to
us
figure it
worked
out.
up, you guys.
No,
Trust me.
You haven't seen us argue.
Yeah.
Like for real argue. You never have seen it.
Yeah. Yeah. But stuff like this doesn't make me angry. Unless it's a good show, then I'll pretend to be angry like I'm losing my mind.
The flower vase bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, tonight's show is absolutely a fail. We both did funky stuff.
You called it be sins of the father?
Yeah, I think that by looking at the FBI and saying that because they did this during MLK, they must be dirty now. That's sins of the father. That's literally the definition of it.
Why is that ew? Why is everyone saying that's ew? I'm confused.
I don't
Does
know.
that just sound weird or something?
Maybe, but
that's a normal term, I think, right?
Yeah, it is a normal term.
I'm ready for the call-in line. Oh, people are ready to call in and argue.
Oh, me too. Me too. You know how fun that'll be?
So AR asks if there's a different way to donate, like other vendors like Cash App or Facebook Pay.
YouTube or Patreon here.
Doesn't Facebook have a donate button or something? But I don't think we have one.
Yeah, it's stickers.
Yeah, but they also have a tip button now, but I don't think we have one.
Yeah, dirty. I love debating like that. I don't think I can explain to everyone that's what I enjoy. I think everyone sees our reactions and think we're getting mad, but that's where I want to be. I want to be debating like that with people. I enjoy that a ton, and it's not something I get to do at work. When I'm a salesperson, dude, I have to always be composed. You know what I mean? So there is no like buy into what I'm saying like that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make me mad, angry. It doesn't do anything. It's just that when I believe something, the only way you're going to get me to change my mind is with evidence.
Yeah, thank you, Tennessee. I appreciate that. So for the people who it stresses you out, when we are debating something, let us know if there's a way, because I was questioning this earlier.
What?
Like, because of the whole debate we had on the FBI,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I feel like that could come across as us very frustrated. Okay. And people are going to take that as fighting. And for some people, yeah, I think it's triggering. And I think that it can stress you out. And I know there's some people who voiced it in the chat. And I don't want you guys to feel left out. Like,
No.
I don't want it to turn you away. Okay. So, is there a way we can present debate that doesn't stress you out? Because honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen a debate that isn't that way.
Yeah.
Like the presidential debates, oh my gosh. They are way worse than us. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
but I don't even
political debates,
I
other
agree
debates,
with
they're
you.
high intensity, passion, they get dirty, okay? They get real dirty. So, like, is there a way?
Yeah, you're right, Ian. It is the repetitiveness. I agree with you, and I was feeling that same way. That's why I try to explain too that I know myself enough to know that I will not change my mind when I'm in that mode, unless I see evidence. It just won't happen. We're better off agreeing to disagree, unless we can pull up evidence in that situation.
So it needs to be a planned
But
debate.
no, it doesn't need to be a planned
I
debate.
mean, that's the only
And
way.
in my opinion, for me, that wasn't a debate because when I'm debating
No,
someone, I don't
yeah.
have their best interest at heart. So I'm going to use tactics that give me the upper hand. That was just like a passionate conversation, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know that you're right. I mean, we do glance at the chat, but the issue is we cannot sit here and read through all of it and put on a good show. That's the only problem. Because I did see some of your comments, Danny, but it's impossible to read through all that information. You know what I mean? And then fact check and then make sure that
Yeah.
we're also putting on a good show. It's just really hard. So we definitely glance at the chat and try to pay attention to it as much as we can.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your information because it definitely helped.
Yeah.
We enjoy all of your input, but it's really hard to, like, do all of that.
Yeah.
Because, like, anybody can say anything too, so.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
I think that was the whole point of it. And that's why a lot of people get offended when you tell them like, hey, I'm not going to believe what you say unless you show me evidence. You know how many people have gotten offended by that statement in my life? But I feel like that's how everyone should be.
Yeah.
I don't want people to believe me. Don't believe me. Do not believe me. Did we miss something, Tony?
Yeah.
All right, Tony, we appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
AR, can you highlight AR's comment, please?
Yes.
Yeah, it's hard to read the chat and debate and fact check and all that, like, it's pretty hard.
Awesome. We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. That's
AR,
awesome.
we will
We're still working on the tiers and like stuff we want to do for that.
Yes.
But thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I just reached out to our supporters today and just gave them an update on the Patreon stuff and everything. So we'll get better about posting that.
I'm curious. So right now, one thing I want you guys to do is, if you are a member or plan to be a member, or you just have good ideas, let us know. Like, okay, so one idea we had was posting like a short video, like daily.
Yes.
Just like off thoughts, because we're always researching and looking into stuff and, reading stuff about true crime. Like, would an everyday, like, little update video on Patreon and YouTube members be good? Like, do you have any
Daily
ideas
audio topic, something.
yeah, something that you would like to see?
Yeah.
We just got a $20 super chat.
Oh man, people are coming in hot.
Oh, go back. Yeah. Carmela.
Yes, absolutely. And we appreciate that. And we expect to flex our freedom of speech as much as we can.
Flex it real hard.
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah,
we appreciate that a ton, Carmela. Thank you. You get the star of the chat for the night.
Yes. I would love to have someone on that believes Koberger is guilty to debate stuff. I think that would be super fun. And somebody that, can go hard but not get offended.
Yeah.
Or one night I'll play the
Mama J said we need to read the book Getting to Yes.
Getting to Yes.
I'm only guessing what that's about.
Is it a managerial book?
Oh. So is
okay. I think they have a newer version of this.
Negotiating agreement without giving in.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people could read that book.
Yeah.
So is there anything else?
Oh, you just missed all the fun, Paige.
Yeah, you missed a very long-winded argument.
Yeah.
And not like a bad one, even though some people felt that way about it, but we weren't upset. I want to see Malia's makeup looks every day. Oh, like a picture of my makeup every day? Okay, I could do that.
Yeah, that's what you should do.
No idea what Patreon is, but I'm a member. That's super funny.
Hey,
you need to make a Patreon.
You
should.
AR.
Because it's less restrictive too. Like, we do want to end up making content like exclusive to Patreon because you don't have to worry about language as much. Like, as far as saying like words YouTube doesn't like. I'm not talking about profanity, but like, there's a lot of true things in true crime you can't say on YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah. Appreciate that, Kimmy.
Yeah, Patreon's a really good backup.
It is.
And I think that's why Crime Circus has been pushing Patreon so hard. It's really smart to have that as a backup because YouTube changes things. So let's say you figure out how to make a living off of YouTube, right? And we hope to get there eventually as a network and have different shows and coverage and live coverage and on the spot coverage, traveling, whatever. But if YouTube changed something and the income that you require to run your show and business then changes, then you're stuck. You could be in a really bad place. And Patreon helps you have a backup there. You know what I mean? But that's awesome, a $20 super chat. We really appreciate that.
Yeah.
People are coming out trying to get us to debate more.
Yeah, somebody said a weekly members only debate.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
It is a super good idea. Thank you for that.
And that way we can try and keep the debate off the streams for people that get stressed out by it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. If you want to, like,
what's funny though is
that way we can actually pull up some evidence too and argue a point.
Every time we've started getting in like debate mode a little bit, it is when that video gets like the most hate comments, and they're always directed at me. Of course, I'm the guy, you know what I mean? And that's kind of offensive because Malia holds her own. But anyways, they're always directed at me, but they always get by far the best views. Like by far the best.
I mean, it's true what they say that negative and positive attention is all positive on the internet. It's true. Thank you, AR. That's really nice. We appreciate your support.
I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. Then we'll finish our topics because we need to talk about those two topics that you brought up with Dylan and the whole hacking possibility that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I wanted
here.
to ask you if there's anything else we needed to talk
Yes,
about with why
right
Derek,
here.
though. What's that?
Not really. We can skip past why Derek because why Derek is important, but it's going to get brought up again as we cover the four other crime ending themselves that happened in that area. So it will get brought up again. So
Okay.
it's not as important as the current updates that have come out. So
Okay.
I'm gonna go with that.
Okay. All right then. Skipping past why Derek. He just pulled something up. I don't know what this is. What? Oh my gosh. Where did Brendan find this? Wait till you guys see this. I don't know how he's pulling it up to share it with you guys. So just hold on. It's wild. I've never seen this before. I wonder if the cops ever got their hands on this evidence. This is wild, you guys. Or if it's even true. If it is true, it's pretty crazy. Just wait. Wait till you see it. But yeah, so has anybody I will share. I just don't know how to pull it up in the browser. I'm waiting for Brendan. He's back, but it's pretty wild. But has anybody been paying attention to JLR, JRL, whatever? JRL's drama. Wait, did I say it wrong again? Yes, Jonathan Lee Ridges. JLR. I don't know why I keep J Ray. I'm trying to say J Ray. No. So JLR has been having like some drama, okay? So you guys on Monday, you know how we watched Drip Drop. We talked about his video. We didn't watch it on stream, but we talked about Dylan, okay, and her being spotted partying for she went to a Halloween party, you know? And there was a TikTok posted by her friend.
What are we pulling up?
What
are we pulling up?
We're pulling up what you just pulled up and showed me. Everybody's waiting. But I'm curious if you guys have been keeping up with it.
This is not what you're thinking of.
What is it?
Not what you're talking about.
I know it's not what I'm talking about. I was waiting for you. That's why I'm talking about that.
Yeah,
So
that's
pull
one
that
of the
up.
topics that we're going to talk about. So let's talk about the Dylan Mortenson hacked drama.
Okay. So anyway, JLR, a while back, we talked about this too. This was last week. He pulled up some Facebook post, or actually maybe it was the week before that. Was it before Thanksgiving or was it after?
I'm going to try and see if it's on his page.
So he
which of these?
Found in a Facebook group some comments from a lady claiming she's the mother of one of Dylan's friends in Boise, okay? And she was trying to say that Dylan was not texting Bethany that night, that Dylan passed out while calling 911 when she found Ethan first, and that a passerby walked up and took over the call. That's the new one. The hacked one is the new one.
Okay.
That basically that lady, okay, who was saying she was like, the friend's mother or whatever, which she is. She tried saying her account was hacked.
Okay. From the pictures that were posted, you're talking about the party pictures.
No. So that she did post those. Those are 100% real.
Okay.
But she's trying to claim that all her comments about what happened that night, on the night of the murders and the next morning, and all this stuff about Dylan, that she was hacked and she didn't say any of that stuff. JLR thinks she's lying. He
Okay.
asked for proof that she reported her account as hacked.
Okay,
She wouldn't
gotcha.
turn
You're
it
talking about
over
the mom. The mom said some crazy stuff to
on a
JLR
Facebook group.
on the Facebook group
Not to him, just on a Facebook group, and
in
he found
general.
it.
Okay.
And she was saying all this stuff, you know, that I just mentioned. And so he posted it to a video, and then he gets an email from her, and she's like, my account was hacked, and I really don't appreciate you putting my family on blast. And so he asked for proof. She didn't provide it. He asked for a statement, and she just said her account was hacked, basically, and that you know, she wants to be left alone or whatever. But in the same respect, she has pictures of Dylan and her daughter on her her personal Facebook account, and her daughter's posting that video of Dylan to TikTok. So what is going on here?
Yeah, I don't know, but it sounds really sketchy.
I know that people have distaste for JLR. It's not about him.
No.
It's not about him at all. This is about what
She's totally lying, dude. Come on. Come on.
I think she's lying. Yeah.
And here's the thing. Let's just look at the possibility of her being hacked, okay? So, she gets hacked, and the very next day she gets her account back but can't prove that she did a password change. Like, there's a million ways to very easily prove that, hey, I did a password change and got my account back. I'll just blur out the password part or whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, he just
Or is it just a lack of accountability?
So she claimed she reported it to Facebook, but he was like, well, can I see proof of that? And she wouldn't provide it. So, I mean,
shady.
yeah, it is shady. I think she's lying. I think that her and her daughter are attention seekers, if I'm being completely honest, and they were using Dylan for attention. I know that's super messed up, and it's kind of a big accusation to make without much evidence, but
there's a reason why we hid their faces.
There is a reason we hid their faces.
For that reason, because it really feels like clout chasing.
Right. Hacked by who? Her daughter, right?
Right.
So, I mean, just straight up getting your account hacked, and you're a nobody. Nobody knew who you were until you started posting stuff of Dylan.
Yeah.
So why would your account get hacked?
Yeah.
And at the same time, around the same time, you are posting pictures and videos of Dylan.
Yeah.
Seems a bit odd.
It does. It seems really strange and really unlikely. And what makes it the most unlikely for me is the fact that she got it back so quick.
And
got the account back.
And she's trying to say that her daughter isn't friends with Dylan. That's what made me feel like she was lying.
What?
Because we literally have proof your daughter is friends with Dylan.
I blew your eardrums
like
out.
Your daughter's TikTok account is posting videos of Dylan. You have pictures of Dylan and your daughter on your Facebook, and you're trying to say that you don't know who she is now?
Yeah, that's wild. That is wild.
Yeah, they got the wrong attention, and now she doesn't want it. Exactly.
Okay, she's maybe not friends anymore. Right. But she is, and to clarify, because one thing that we wanted to clarify is there's this idea out there right now that all this partying happened in Moscow. It did not happen in Moscow. It happened in Boise at what's the other main college there? I'm sure everyone is saying it already. The one we talked about with Ann Taylor, right?
It's Idaho State.
Idaho State. Okay.
Idaho State University.
So that is where she was. That is the area that she lives. And these are just normal partying pictures. Isn't that weird? She wanted to separate herself from Dylan, though. What do you think that was a personal protection? She was like, oh, shoot, I'm being called out. Or do you think it has to do with the fact that she really doesn't want to be associated with Dylan?
So I think what's going on here is because she said in her email, she's been getting threatening emails. I think they got the wrong attention. They started getting threats. They started seeing how the internet can turn on somebody. And they were like, whoa. I don't want nothing to do with this. I didn't realize that I was going to get blown up constantly by insane people threatening to harm me.
Yeah.
And literally digging into every aspect of my life. I don't think people understand the power of that sometimes, especially if you're an older lady or something, you know, like you're in your 40s or something.
Well, online can be harsh, and I think
Yeah.
unless you're in front of like a bunch of people, I don't know if people understand you know, how harsh comments and things like that can be to some people, you know. Most people don't walk around their life getting blasted on and tore down every single day. Imagine going to your work, you guys, and every day, right when you walk in the door, someone says, "Oh, look it, here comes dum dum," or the next day is, uh, "Oh, this idiot's here again." Like, you know what I mean? Just come up with imagine walking in your job and having that blasted on you every day when you walk in the door.
Wait, in Billings, Montana, why'd you bring up Billings, Montana? I've been looking into Billings, Montana. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
curious why you brought it up. But sorry, that caught my
No,
attention because there's a lot going on in Billings, Montana, you
I
guys.
think Chasing left a comment earlier about it too. You read our minds. But yeah, imagine coming into your work and having that happen every single day, being
Yeah.
put down in that way. I don't think people can handle it. It's one thing
No.
to say, like, "Oh, I don't let that stuff bother me," and then to have it happen to you every single day. It's very different.
Yeah, I think
You
you're
know what
right.
I mean? I think
Mhm.
it's something you got to train yourself to do and be able to get over. And when I say it too, this is totally gonna sound like I'm trying to virtue signal, but I'm not just because it was brought up during this stream. Um, but when I said earlier that like I don't let comments bother me, it's not because I'm some tough guy, you know. That's not what it means. It just means that I've been in sales for over a decade, and salespeople are the most hated people on earth. So you learn to have thick skin. You
Yeah.
you learn it over time. I can't remember my first selling experience, but the first time that I was put down, I bet you it was bad. I bet you anything I walked away from it like, "Oh my gosh, I don't think I can do this."
For sure. I
You
think
know?
that's probably what happened here. Probably. And Chasing Ghost said he's from Billings, Montana, or they
Oh,
are from Billings, Montana. Um,
Billings has some crazy stuff going on right now.
yeah, so we just recently covered like the shooting of the dad and the baby, and I found out there's a lot of shootings going on there, a lot of gang violence, and it's kind of scary. Yeah, I know that's why I changed it to they. I realized I assumed. Sorry.
Yeah.
He is just I don't know why that's just a go-to in language for some reason. But my bad. I'll remember you're a she now that I messed that up.
So,
But yeah, Billings, Montana's got some terrible stuff going on. It's really, really sad.
yeah, it is. It's sad and it's scary because it's still active and going on. You know, I don't want to get into it. We'll
No,
talk about it the next when that video comes out or whatever. But going back to this posting, we talked about Dylan's partying and what we thought about it the last stream. So I don't want to get too much into that. Um, but isn't that really crappy, regardless of whether you think Dylan has some explaining to do or has whatever, right? Like whatever you believe her connection is to this crime, if she's connected at all or not at all, it really sucks to transfer schools and now to have this drama follow you
so
like
I think
this. So shady,
so
such an awful
one thing
situation.
I didn't bring up is the fact that JLR posted that video, okay, of the TikTok to Twitter. And now there's a bunch of articles getting written about him and it because it got a ton of hate because of what he said. He said that it looks like she's like moved on and like something like that. I forget exactly what it said.
Mhm.
And people are saying, "Well, what do you expect her to do?" You know what I mean? Like she should leave her alone. She should be able to, do whatever she wants. Um And that goes back to the whole partying thing. That it's funny that we talked about that so in depth the other
I
night,
know.
because that's exactly the conversation that's happening now, where you have one side of the camp that's like, how dare she be out doing this? And then like the other side of the camp's like, leave her alone. She should be able to have fun and do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
And I think she should be able to do absolutely whatever she wants. And I think that really the issue here where you can meet these two in the middle is people are analyzing her behavior because her behavior the night of the crime is so odd. So while yes, she shouldn't get hate, nobody should be sending hate her way because we have nothing to say that she did something
Yeah.
wrong.
We have questions, and I
We
do
have
think
questions.
questions should be answered. I do. So don't take that the
Yes.
wrong way. I do feel like, man, if
Us
I
asking questions isn't not leaving her alone, is all I'm saying. We
if-
can ask questions over here in our corner, okay?
in any corner, no matter how big it is, I don't know if I could be her in this situation and stay quiet, assuming everything happened the way the statement says it, the eyewitness statement says it. I don't know if I could just stay quiet. I would have a hard time.
If the eyewitness statement said what it says, like
Yeah.
you would have to speak up and clear your own name. Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if she does that, she could get in big trouble.
I get it, but here's the I understand that point, but that would be whose life is more important to me, mine or Koberger's?
It's not a that's not it.
That
Exactly.
is how I would look at it.
Yeah, and her coming out and speaking can mess up her life.
I mean, what, an overnight stay?
I think it's more than that.
Maybe it is, but for a first-time offender, a victim, an overnight stay, that's where my mind would go. But I'm jumping to conclusion without knowing all the details. So
Yeah, that's I just don't. There's no reason to attack her. Jailer kept bringing up the underage drinking. Who didn't underage drink? I mean, it's not that big of a deal, you
Yeah.
know. Her out partying, that doesn't bother me at all. What bothers me is the inconsistencies in behavior and also the statements from stepmother and her father, who actually does live with her, that she's a shut-in and that she's having such a hard time she cannot go outside.
Yeah, I'm more concerned with the statements that were made about her when
Than
we're
what she's
seeing
yeah.
different things from her.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think something needs to be explained. If I was her, like I said, I would have a hard time not speaking up.
I'm just curious if any of the statements that we've heard about Dylan are actually Dylan telling them what to say, or if it's them speaking for her.
That's my guess.
Them speaking
Oh,
for her.
for sure. Absolutely.
I'm really
absolutely.
curious what if she could come out and say, look, this is what it is. This is what happened. This is what's going on with me. This is me.
Yeah.
What she would say.
Yeah.
What would she say? And now people are saying, because Bethany Funk has a picture circulating now of her and her boyfriend, and he's wearing a shirt that says like for lifer or something like that. And it's got him like on one knee or whatever. And now people are saying that she's like engaged or something, but there's no ring. It's a picture of him on a knee on a shirt.
That's really weird.
Super weird.
What?
And it says for lifer on it. Now, I did see character analysis come out and say that that was actually a trend and it was made by somebody's company. And I believe her about that. I think that she's right on the money with that analysis, that it's not an engagement. It is some kind of trend that was going on TikTok.
All right. Well, I guess next stream, maybe you guys will see me with a shirt with my face on it on one knee with a small body.
Saying for lifer?
Yeah. For lifer. And then I want a giant head, like my face, just like like that with a small body on one
So,
knee.
character analysis, she posed the question in that video. She was like, when, like, it's really, do you not think, she asked the question, like, do you not think it's weird that there's a bunch of grown adults essentially cyber stalking these young people, these kids?
I mean, no. I don't think that's weird. These kids can go to war and die. They are adults, at least in society's eyes, not the bars and alcohol's eyes. So when you're an adult, you're held to the standards of all adults. You go to the adult court, you do all the adult things, it. So that feels like a little bit of a manipulation of the situation, but I do feel bad for her that every single second of her life is being followed. In the same way, I feel bad for other people that it happened to. She's not the only one in the world this has happened to.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So here's my argument. I think isn't the rumor that Dylan's pregnant and Bethany's engaged? I don't know. There's rumors around, I think maybe about both of them being pregnant at this point.
Oh.
But anyway, this is my argument.
No way. No way. Wait.
What?
That just clicked to me. You know how many women that are guilty of something get pregnant to try to avoid?
Oh, yeah. I know.
Like, that is a very common tactic.
You're right. It is.
And there have even been lawyers that have suggested it.
Everybody feels bad for a pregnant lady.
Yeah.
A pregnant lady could never do anything wrong. She's always right.
What's her face? The Elon Musk, or the wannabe, the lady, the fraudster of the year. What's her name that had the medical thing that didn't work?
Oh,
you guys know who I'm talking about?
Yes,
she did it too.
The one who made it. Yeah, it was the finger prick, and you can get all your blood results.
Yes,
she was in Forbes that was obsessed with Steve Jobs.
Yes. She's the woman
impersonator of
wannabe
Steve Jobs. She literally impersonated him.
She did, turtleneck and all, baby. And
the voice, it was so weird.
Yes, the Theranos lady. Yes, yeah, good call out.
What is her name?
We did a video on her.
Elizabeth Holmes.
Yes, that's it.
It's Elizabeth Holmes.
That's right. She did it too. So if they're both pregnant, that makes me feel really weird.
Yeah.
Like really strange.
Yep.
I'm not saying there's anything to it, you guys, so don't take me wrong by saying that. I'm connecting the possibility of intentional pregnancy to past situations that we've seen that have been intentional.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? They may not be pregnant at all. People could just be saying
for sure. Absolutely. But it's just interesting though.
It is. But here's my answer to character analysis question about that. Is they okay, for instance, Dylan still posts her private Instagram. People who are on her private Instagram that are supposedly her friends are leaking her pictures. Dylan and her boyfriend posted that picture. And look, whether you wanted it or not, whether you signed up for it or not, you are now known by the entire nation and a lot of the world, whether you like it or not. It was a series of unfortunate events that we cannot change. There's a ton of public interest in this case. If you don't want it on the internet, do not post it.
Yeah.
It is not that hard. It is not that hard.
Yeah.
And I understand that, look, your life just doesn't look the same anymore. And I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm really, really sorry. You cannot post things to the internet without them going all over the place. I'm sorry. Yeah. But there's nothing that can be done about people cyber stalking you. Like, nobody can do anything about that.
I mean, it's not even cyber stalking. Let's be real here. It's mainstream media stalking.
Once
trying to make it look like it's all the
internet is much different than real life.
Yeah.
Once you post something to the internet, it is there forever. It is public information. It is public information. So if you don't want it out there, do not post it. Period.
Yeah.
Not even if your account is private. Just don't. That's all I got to say on it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. So, I mean, I don't know. And if you have friends that post stuff to TikTok like that, like Dylan, don't be in their videos if you don't want it on the internet. Maybe she did want it on the internet, like Brendan was saying, though. Maybe she wanted to show people like that she was doing good because she didn't like the whole image that's being portrayed that she's like this, I don't know, weak, like,
Yeah,
victim.
that doesn't I'm sure that doesn't feel good, having everybody around you say that. But it is also interesting that everyone that's close to you is spinning this image of you, and you're defying that image that's created. Isn't that strange?
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little strange.
Yeah.
I'm not, again, not suggesting there's something to that, but it is interesting, to say the very least. Now,
Okay, yeah. Go ahead. Pull this up because
have you ever seen this?
I have not seen this. This is wild. And I was telling everyone how wild it was, but I didn't tell them what it was. So
Okay.
I know CH is waiting for sure to see it because he
Okay.
was like, show it, show it, show it.
I'm sure that everyone has probably seen it that has been around for a while. Someone was saying it's been around since the beginning.
Oh yeah, November 23rd is it's
Yeah.
3 days. Okay. Yeah, weird.
Yeah, I'm curious if anyone knows who has followed up with this. Has anyone tried to seek out this dude? Was this dude ever on the list? Oh, sorry guys, hang on. Sorry. Was this guy ever on the list of possible suspects? Someone sent this to me, and if you're watching right now, I appreciate it. Shout out to you if you sent it to me.
Why would that guy be a suspect?
I just found out my remote photography group has video from a tripod that was stationed behind the house. It recorded from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. and shows a woman running from the side of the house as a truck entered the driveway. She ran away from the house and right by our tripod at approximately 2 a.m. A group member removed the tripod, and I don't know who has the video. It is the group's right to not disclose why we record, but we would send in recordings in special circumstance. Oh, shout out, Tara. Appreciate that. Thank you. I've never seen this. I have never seen this. I've never heard this. Is this legit? Is there more to this story? Was Nick Rabis, sorry, Nick, if you're watching this and you didn't want to be shouted out, but you're posting on University of Idaho page.
You posted it to a public platform,
Yep.
like I was saying before. Do not post something if you don't want it public.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like why don't they disclose why they're recording a house filled with women is weird. I felt the same, but I'm just focusing on
yeah, it was aimed at the back of their house.
I
super
hear you.
weird.
I get
and
it.
on the night of the murder,
it's super strange if this is real.
And
I got you.
They removed it literally right before the murders,
and nobody knows who has the recording. Like, wait, what? What?
That's super strange. Yeah, public group.
Supposedly, he said he faked that in. Oh, okay. Thank you for saying that to read this. So, supposedly, he said he faked that info. In my opinion, he said that because he was getting a lot of questions. Rightfully so, rightfully so. I wonder how much money I could offer to find the truth. 10 grand, bro.
Right.
And where's the video? This is so strange.
It is
really strange. But okay, let's be honest about this. What stands out to make me question its validity here? This part.
What?
It is the group's right to not disclose why we record. Anybody at any age above the age of 16 knows that that sounds shady. So why write it?
Yeah, there's no reason
You know
to
what I
write
mean?
that.
You don't there is no reason. It doesn't make it this not true. It doesn't make this not possible, but it's strange,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Doesn't really make sense.
Because you are not allowed to just record random houses. You are not allowed to do that.
No. Yeah. Maybe it is fake. Good night, AR.
Yeah, good night, AR. We
Ca-
appreciate you stopping by. We need to set up a show.
Yeah, for real. We should.
I didn't,
Also,
Amanda. Let me
AR,
see.
I'm probably going to reach out to you through an email about something. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of doubting it.
Oh, star time lapse photography. I hope it's that really cool kind that it stays positioned with the sky as the world turns. Have you seen that? It's
Yes.
really awesome. But anyways, if they're doing star positioning, how do they see a woman running from the house? And what woman?
What does remote photography group mean? Like, what does that mean?
I'm assuming it means that they leave their photography behind, like at a
Okay.
remote location.
Okay.
Is my assumption. Does this remote photography have like a wireless connection where it's a constant data feed, or is this a base camera, or you know, however the saving method is, whether it's internal, whether it's a SD card or whatever, you know?
Can you even see the stars that great from like that
The house,
behind the home?
so that house is kind of the top of the hill.
Yeah, but what about light pollution?
I don't know. I
Why
mean, it's a
wouldn't you
small
do it?
town.
Like, is it just because they like to have the town like in the view, like of the landscape, or why wouldn't you just do it out of town where there's no light pollution and you can see the stars really well?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's something you do in the African Sahara where there's no light pollution. Yeah, it's funny. But if it's students, that makes it much more possible. It does sound like a troll. I agree. I think those are all possibilities. But is there any follow-up?
That is the only one in existence that I can find. And that's kind of
Shut up.
strange. Could literally go pay him a visit.
Look up what is their work?
Here.
Yeah, we'll
a lot of-
try to follow up.
Techie stuff.
Yeah. Just see if he responds. I would just see if there's any response.
Did I just see that? I just saw University of Idaho, I'm pretty sure. Where'd it go?
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so let's see. So yes, which was why the lens would be faced up. Be taking for a long time, but you wouldn't see. I agree. There's a lot of question marks with this recording. It doesn't feel like it's real, right? But I hope the police gave this dude a hard time, because if this is not real, isn't this a really messed up thing to do?
Oh yeah, it is.
It's really mean. Like that goes beyond mean. In a quadruple homicide, you're out here trolling in this way. That I don't. It's offensive. It's offensive.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, it's messed up to do that. For sure. I think making up anything having to do with a case like this, just making stuff up is super super gross. There's like no sense in it at all.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is gross. But wouldn't it be crazy if it's legit?
Yeah.
It would be insane. Now, what's interesting is I have heard that there's a video floating around of a girl running out. Have you heard people say that they believe Dylan left?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have heard that they think maybe even Dylan and Bethany. Oh, Duty Ron.
Oh, no way. Hey, Duty Ron, we appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I love your content, man.
I know. Starstruck, we appreciate you.
You
Incredible stuff.
Yeah, you do great work. We appreciate you a ton. Thanks for stopping by, Ron.
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
it is. That's incredible.
I think we got a lot of the people in the chat are your fans too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good.
But yeah, this is
Isn't that great? Like bonding of the true crime community, which is one of the
Yeah.
things we set out to do. Is there was so much fighting back and forth in the true crime community. I would rather have us fight on camera and then like get good with the other content creators. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we had a long debate, not like an official debate, but you know, a debate about some documentation earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice bonding. That's right. Regina.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, we set out pretty early on in, you know, the YouTube podcast journey, wanting to connect with other creators, bring people together, you know, support other creators cuz
It's
I love
beneficial to the content.
it is beneficial to the content, and I also appreciate a ton of creators. Like I, you know, have watched a lot of them, and I just don't like how there's like, you know, weird drama and stuff. There's no need for it. It doesn't help anything.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. There's a lot of room for everyone to uplift everyone here. Yeah, no room for drama. We'll keep the drama between us arguing. But yeah, we'll do some digging into this, you guys. But it feels troll-ish based on what I'm reading. Doesn't it to you?
Yeah.
It that sentence throws me for a loop there that it is the group's right not to disclose why we record. I feel like that's obvious trolling, you know.
Yeah.
It sounds so bad. Like, hey, we record houses and we have the right not to tell you why we record houses at random, you know?
Yeah, I'm just wondering like how panned out is this? You know?
I don't
Are
know.
they
This was
focusing
posted like real early though. It's concerning to me because this is 10 days. 10 days after. 10 days is still like that things would be weird there still. That mourning period, everyone is manic, concerned, worried, and then to come out with something like this, like that's so offensive.
In the PCA it does say video of video suspect.
I mean, that would be incredible. I would hope so.
It doesn't say that, does it?
I don't know. I don't have a way to verify.
In the PCA?
I don't know the PCA by heart.
I don't know it either, but I by heart. I mean, I've read it several times, but I don't know it by heart. But
There is like 100 million pages.
No, there's not.
Yeah, on the court
Yeah, but not
website?
she's saying specifically the
I
PCA.
get it, I get it. I'm just saying that it's a lot to remember, so when you're reading documents, it's really easy to get them
So,
confused, mixed up, and
if you had a photography group, okay, that say it is recording stars, okay, or how a landscape changes over time or anything, is that accurate that you don't have to disclose why you're recording in a residential neighborhood? Is that true? Can you just go set out a tripod with a camera on a sidewalk and record the area around you and not disclose why you're doing it?
so if I'm remembering, someone correct me if I'm wrong here, but if I'm remembering correct, it has something to do with distance. You have to be a certain distance away for it to not to get you in trouble. Or it can't be the focal point. If
Hmm.
I'm remembering correct. And look, it probably varies from state to state, you guys. That would be a state law of setting something like this up. I would think the correct thing to do, though, is to get the approval of houses that could be in the view.
I mean, I think because it's public, a public street, I think that's true. As long as you're not recording anyone's intimate conversations, you're not getting anything. So, from what I'm seeing, is you can record in public spaces as long as there's no conversations or you're violating anybody's reasonable expectation of
Okay,
privacy.
okay, yeah, so that is a good explanation. Okay, I was thinking that was too literal for when you're out in society, like using a phone or something like that, but that fits this too. But was this camera literally left out from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. out in the middle of the street? Because what I thought, I believe there was some other commentary that was tied to this. I need to go back and look. I should have pulled it. My bad. Is that the tripod was supposedly on the top of that hill, which, if that's true, and have no idea, you guys, but if that's true, that camera would have to be positioned at a downward angle because the
Hmm.
hill is above the house.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Interesting. I know you can photograph people and buildings and stuff. I'm talking about literally setting up a recording camera in the like on the sidewalk in a residential
Yeah.
neighborhood and getting people's homes, like people going to and from their homes and like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cuz that's a bit
Homes are
different.
touchy.
Homes are a little
Yeah.
bit touchier than
Absolutely.
like going out in a city where it's not a residential neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
recording on Hollywood Boulevard as opposed to recording on a street in Beverly Hills where there's nothing but homes around. Like I guarantee you people are going to have some problems with that.
Yeah. I agree. And like I said, I think that it would be smart to get approval from any homes that could be in the shop. But legally, do they need to do that? I
I
mean,
don't think so. I don't think legally they would
yeah.
have to.
Right. Right.
Yeah, ring doorbell. Yep, that's a good point.
Right.
But this is a bit different. It's not private security. You're literally recording people's houses.
Yeah, but if this is recording the stars, then the house could just be the wider angle shot.
The house
Therefore,
isn't your subject.
correct. Therefore, you're not you're within the bounds of the reasonable expected privacy, right? It's not the subject, it just kind of is the outward whatever, you know.
Has this started a whole like conspiracy theory?
I mean, I've never heard of it.
I haven't either.
I've never heard of this post. I have heard of a camera, a tripod camera on that back hill, but I had no idea where it came from. It was just one of those comments that, I let float by.
Hmm.
So we'll do our best to follow up with this.
I was gonna ask you what exactly, like, what, you know?
I don't know. Yeah.
Just high?
Okay. Yeah. Hey, we're hoping to talk to you. Had a couple questions. All right, so let me see if I can pull up this video without it playing. I don't want it to play. Okay. All right, so moving on here. Let's get into a tin hat topic. All right. So,
Tin hat.
yep.
All right. I'm
Okay.
ready.
All right.
Ready,
So,
ready.
You got to have your tin hat on. All right. So, a few videos have came out in response to 4chan, okay? And mind you, those of you that have been watching us for a while understand how we go about these tin hat topics, right? We try and tie something to do with it into reality, therefore proving that it has some semblance of plausibility in reality, right? If we can't do that, a lot of times we'll talk about them, but not follow them any further. Now, 4chan, aka Fraternity theory, they are exactly the same. I think they have legs. Whether it's real is up for question. There's no way to know without some more puzzle pieces. But I think it has its own legs, right? Just the same is if we find out all the Brian Koberger evidence has legs too. I think that it's both possible depending on what can be verified, what ends up showing to be true, what gets brought to court, if there's any additional evidence or anything like that. Now, 4chan has been getting talked about a lot again. There has been a ton of talk around it. I have no idea if we started that up again. I know we weren't the first ones to talk about it. It was being talked about way before we started covering true crime, but we started covering it, and there's been a lot of talk about it. Now, with that came a whole bunch of videos trying to disprove it being possible. We've talked about videos where people have come out and said, hey, these frat guys, there's no way they did it. You think a bunch of dumb, drunk frat dudes could do something like this? I think based on the evidence we've provided, the statistical evidence we provided, the videos going through these different potential ending themselves type situation shows there could be more here, right? There could be a tie into the possibility of something weird going on in the area or decisions being made that ultimately benefit the school first and foremost, right? Now, we've talked about those and statistically why it doesn't make sense, why $10 to every $1 is a big deal to the college, how there's proof that if you picked up every fraternity and sorority and took them away from college, all colleges would fail. They would go under eventually, depending on how much they have in savings and stuff, but they wouldn't be flush anymore. So that adds some worth to that. And those aren't opinions, right? Those are actual factual topics and evidence of what we see based on the statistics currently. Now, I've seen 2 videos come out just recently talking about how the 4chan messages don't make sense. And what's interesting is one of them came out saying that the 4chan theory is a theory based around drugs and a love triangle.
No,
I agree.
that's not the basis of the theory.
I agree. I'm glad you thought that too. So it's not a love triangle because
No.
according to the story or what could be possible based on these messages, um, a couple frat dudes, well, one in particular, okay?
One in
One in
particular.
particular wanted to be with one of the victims and was angry because she didn't want him back. That's not a love triangle.
No. That's just somebody being
That's
jealous and wanting somebody's girlfriend
right.
who doesn't want them.
A jealous dude.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page there because when
Yeah.
I was watching that, I was like, wait,
No, I agree with
how
you.
does this make sense? I don't understand. Like
No,
how
and it's not about drugs at all. It's one person was on steroids. Like, that's it.
it is a drug, but yeah, that is
Yeah.
it. It is
Yeah,
not
but it's
the
not
crime wasn't based on it.
right. It's not like the drug theory like what we covered in the beginning, or more towards the beginning of our coverage of this case. We talked about the drug theory. That more had to do with like the charges against some of the family members and possible retribution for snitching. And you guys, there's actually a case that, and I don't want to get into it or anything, I just want to mention it, where there's a case, okay, that I ran across where this woman was probably murdered because she snitched on a drug dealer and a
Uh,
murderer, and she was killed right as she was about to move away.
I mean, that's nothing new though.
No,
There are
that's
a ton of
that
cases.
I don't know why people found that so like not believable, because there's so many sayings about snitches get stitches, snitches end up in ditches. Like,
Yeah,
there is a reason those sayings exist, and they absolutely happen every day.
agreed.
People get offed for snitching 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. So to think that, and families, okay, that is a notorious thing too, that if they can't get to you, they will go after your family.
Yeah.
So it is not totally
It
unbelievable.
depends on what
But
gang, but yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
right,
'Cause
right.
some have rules still.
Yeah,
The older
for
ones
sure.
don't allow stuff like that. But yes, absolutely.
So that theory, the drug theory, has absolutely nothing to do with the fraternity or 4chan.
Yeah.
The only element of drugs in that theory is a guy being on steroids.
Inhibited by his drug use to
Right.
possibly make doing this crime easier. Yep.
Right. Yeah, because steroids cause a lot of like rage in most
some,
people
yeah.
that do it.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yep. Especially if you're not just doing steroids. So one thing that I found out through my years of sports is a lot of people that are using steroids in order to get bigger, in order to get stronger. And I say that specifically because I've been on steroids a whole bunch. When you're using them specifically for an area where you have an injury and it'll give you a boost, in that area.
Yeah.
And that's different. But when I forget what kind of steroids, is it anabolic? I think if you're using anabolic steroids, a lot of times there is testosterone boosters they're using too. So you're already getting that additional boost. Then you're getting additional testosterone on top of it. And that is a bad combination. That is a very dangerous combination. And that creates a massive amount of rage, more because the additional testosterone, cortico. Yeah, that's what I was on. Corticosteroids, but that can cause that rage. And I just want to clear something up. So the 4chan theory and the fraternity theory are the same, at least based on the videos we've created. The 4chan post talks specifically about the fraternity members who potentially did this crime. Now I know recently there's been a lot of other 4chan messages getting brought up, which kind of waters down that, but at least when we're talking about it in our content, that frat theory and 4chan, they are the same. Yeah, the 4chan was talking about the frat doing that. So, but here's another thing that I saw in videos. So they're trying to tie Papa Rogers to the 4chan post. How likely, now, mind you, we have not covered Papa Rogers yet. How likely do you think it is that Papa Rogers is the same person as the 4chan
I don't think it's
poster.
likely at all.
Me neither.
So everything
Based on
I've
the
seen,
writing.
everything I've seen from Papa Rogers, the writing is way different, which yes, people could disguise their writing. But it's way different, and I do not feel that Papa Rogers had as intimate knowledge of the relationships between the fraternity members, the victims, some of the things that were said pre-PCA. Like, I just feel like Papa Rogers' knowledge base wasn't there the same way the 4chan posts were. I really don't.
I agree. I agree. And what's interesting, so why I think this got brought up is one video that I'm talking about, one of the two, made a video showing that Papa Rogers made statements essentially right after law enforcement did. Like, there's a possibility that Papa Rogers could have been law enforcement. And as soon as that information came out through law enforcement, Papa Rogers was posting this information. According to what I read, mind you, we have not dug into Papa Rogers yet, you guys. So if I'm missing something, I apologize. We will touch that topic. We will dig into it. But with the 4chan information, for me, it's a very different approach and information. They lay out exactly how this crime could have been done in detail, talking specifically about insider information into the workings of the fraternity that you would only know by being there. Like, me not being from that area, you think I could have been like, hey, David and David are best friends. There were names dropped, there were connections made that only somebody close to that fraternity at that time would know. Now, in connection with the injuries at the crimes and stuff, that insider knowledge is insane, and it started in November.
Yeah.
So I don't think, unless I'm missing something, the Papa Rogers information is on the same level as the 4chan.
I don't even think that 4chan could be law enforcement. Papa Rogers, I feel like, could be law enforcement. Maybe, but I don't think it is. 4chan, I don't think it's even possible for it to be law enforcement. How would law enforcement have that kind of intimate knowledge of the relationships within the fraternity? Unless
They're
it's them,
fraternity members or
unless they're
something.
fraternity members, because it sounds like the fraternity didn't want to talk to the cops.
They didn't. They did not talk. The police did not search the fraternity house. They never went in the frat house. And the only reason that's known is because
one of the cops had to have been like fraternity alumni or something.
Yeah. Yes. And the only reason that's known is because that one fraternity member answered a few questions, and then their lawyer came out and made some kind of statement. Papa Rogers, Bonnie saying Papa Rogers is law enforcement or a law enforcement spouse. I
could be.
I need to do some research into Papa Rogers. I really don't know much about it. That was before our time.
We haven't dug enough into Papa Rogers, a solid assessment on it, but just from what I've seen, which isn't enough, so take it with a grain of salt. It doesn't seem like they're the same person to me, but I'll look more into it, and maybe if we find connections, and feel like there's a connection, we'll talk about it. But so far from what I've seen, I just don't feel like 4chan and Papa Rogers are on the same level.
I completely agree. And the words used in the 4chan, I feel like my experience hanging out in some grimy areas, or hanging out in the hood, or hanging out in that certain life, like, you pick up a lot of the lingo, the nicknames, all those things, and I was having trouble reading that. So I highly doubt law enforcement hopped on there and was like, typing in that way.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. And I get that's a
No.
vague example of evidence, but I just have a hard time. I have a couple buddies that are police officers, and a funny thing is since drug dealers started using social media like Snapchat and all those, most officers are allowed to open up a social media to gather evidence on people like that. And they don't they don't try and match that type of language. At least in the couple that I know.
Hmm.
So that would be hilarious if it was Coffin Daffer.
T- Papa Coffin Daffer.
Yeah.
That would be super funny.
So going back to my original question, why do you think there is such a push to disprove 4chan? Do you think it's bias because people need to believe that Koberger is guilty? Or a lack of understanding in fraternities, or
I think it's a combination. I mean, I feel like there is no way to disprove the 4chan posts, you guys. Like, it's clearly somebody with knowledge on the inside. Unless you could prove they were 100% faked after, like they were drudged up, faked, and posted to the internet post after the PCA, then there's just absolutely no way that this isn't somebody closely related to this case in some way. There's just no way. They're not, and from everything I've seen, there's so many people that recorded them when they were happening early on in the case.
yeah, I agree with you. It to me, it has the most weight and has the most
So
leg.
you know how you can look up the 4chan
Yeah.
post with all those codes and
Yeah.
things and see the date they were posted? There's no way to change that.
No.
So they are 100% posted on those days and real.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. 100. Yeah.
So yeah, then it's just not possible to disprove it. It has to be somebody close to the case.
I agree. It has to be somebody close to the case, or somebody that has some sort of involvement, or somebody that has some sort of third person knowledge of people involved. Absolutely. And it's super interesting how people try and make it seem like all these other messages, whether it's Papa Rogers, whether it's other 4chan messages, are trying to make it seem like they're the same people when the writing style is different, the grammar is different, the the verbiage used is different, and all the other messages are speaking in a first person.
Yeah. And I don't hold too much weight on the verbiage just because I know how easily I could alter my verbiage and make it sound like a totally different person. Like
Yeah.
Dude,
I don't know.
grammar,
I can't.
writing, literature, English, I always had an A. It was a guaranteed A in school. I had a college age reading level from the time I was in like the 5th grade. Like I excelled in that category of school, like surpassed it by far. So I know I could very, very, very easily sound like two different people. That's not hard to do. It's easy.
I'm glad you said that, Tay. But see, I don't think I could.
No, you do it. I've seen you do it in comparison to how you've written things to me even.
Maybe. But so we'll go back to that. Tay, I just want to answer on this. So Tay says, wasn't the 4chan stuff the I'm in PA comment? No, that's the one that has that different code. Now I understand that
that's fake.
Logging all the way out and logging all the way back in could create a new like login username number or whatever, but during that same time frame and day that the original user was posting. So To me, the way that that's written is one of the messages that the grammar's different, the writing style is different, the username and poster is different. And to me, that sounds like it could be a setup message, right? Which is interesting because if the 4chan theory is real and that message is potentially real, and they knew that there was some kind of PA connection, that is strange. That is strange.
Yeah, I don't think it's the same person, but if it can be proved to have been posted on that day, for sure it's strange.
It's strange.
Maybe
yeah.
they just used a separate browser or no, a separate computer with a separate VPN and made a random post for some reason saying that.
Or maybe the fraternities in Greek life all like 4chan and use it. So two different people posted different things.
Yeah, but how would they
on
know about the
4chan.
Pennsylvania stuff? So
Unless it's planned
this would literally
beforehand,
going so
dude.
tin hat that it
I
was
know
planned
it's tin
behead hat,
hat.
and there's an alumni fraternity cops that are literally framing a guy alongside the fraternity
That's as
brothers.
tin
Like
hat as it goes.
that's
but
as tin hat as it goes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
I
like
hear
total
you.
conspiracy.
It feels like total conspiracy. Yeah. I mean, I think 4chan is possible without there being officer involvement.
If you're including that post, I don't know. How could that even be possible?
Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with Koberger. I don't know.
It's just somebody else from Pennsylvania.
Maybe. I don't know.
And it's just a coincidence.
It's a huge coincidence. But
That's
yeah,
a
it's weird.
ridiculous coincidence.
I know. It's strange. It's strange. And I don't understand it completely. But the whole case is strange. Everything is strange. I still go back to that DNA comment that we were debating about. That's all strange. Like everything that's being handled in this case is strange and uncommon.
Look, my mind goes.
And I think it's because of lack of experience. I don't
mind-
think it's tin hat. I think it's lack of experience.
Dude, at some points, I'm at full tin hat where I think this all is a conspiracy. This Brian Koberger was framed. They planted all the evidence. They fabricated all the evidence. He's a patsy. Like my brain totally goes there. Don't get me wrong. And then it goes to, dude, he's 100% the guy. He did it. There's just no way he did it. The cops mess this up, and he's the guy.
Either way, it feels like the cops messed it up. Whether
Either
Koberger's guilty
and you're
or
right.
innocent.
Either way, it feels like there is something wrong here. Like there's something's not right.
Yeah. I agree. And it makes me so worried for this case. Because what's the possible outcome here? That there's a fifth victim, or we have a murderer out on the streets, you know?
And then sometimes, I do feel I do very much feel it's in the middle, that it's like the cops just didn't know, they were in over their head,
I just know that I'm super optimistic. So I think everybody except for sociopaths, right? Obviously, I'm not talking about like people who can end other people's lives, but I think everybody makes decisions believing they're doing the right thing. And I think that's how conspiracies or conspiracy feeling situations happen in law enforcement. They believe they are doing something that is protecting the community and people. They feel like Superman, that we can't leave this guy on the street. We can't do it. That we would be doing something bad if we allowed this guy to continue to be on the street. But flawed argument there is the guy didn't do it. For whatever reason, you did this and you got the wrong guy. But they believe they have the right guy. So they set things up to make sure this awful, horrible guy can't be out in society anymore.
So that's why I feel like parallel construction is wrong. Like that's
Agreed.
is that like I feel like they in the end the cops are trying to do the right thing by any means necessary. But any means necessary doesn't always get you the right answer.
Doesn't get you the right guy or girl
Yeah.
or suspect. I agree.
And that's why transparency is important. That's why
100%.
showing your work is important.
You know, one thing that would fix everything? Full transparency. Because there's multiple things that come into play with full transparency. There is social accountability and group accountability. So if you're a peace officer, like in other countries, like Finland or whatever, when everything is out in the open, literally everything, as an officer, you never want to fraudulently set up a case, do something illegal, because everyone's going to see it. Everyone is judging you and everyone is grading you because peace officers are owned by the people. That would fix that problem flat out. 2, it gets the rest of society involved in our government systems and justice system. And that's a good thing. You know how many generations are like, I don't trust the government. I don't want anything to do with this. F the police, you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be ways to get past that. And the way to do it is transparency, in my opinion.
I agree with that. And, there was an interesting discussion today in Chad Daybell's hearing where they were talking about the cameras, where the media lady, who also is the media lady who was the lawyer for the media in Kohberger's case, arguing for the cameras, the lady with like the curly hair.
Okay.
She was at Chad Daybell's representing the media today for cameras in court. And, they talked about how, like, everything's recorded now. Like, we are in a technological age. Everything's on camera.
She listened to me.
It helps the public trust the system. Well, the judge came back and was like, I don't know if that's a great argument, because federal courts do not have cameras in the courtroom, and everybody trusts the federal courts. And I was like, oh man. And then the prosecutor said, well, he's like, I'm not sure if it's a good thing everything's on camera. I don't really agree with that. And I don't think that's a good argument, that just because everything is on camera, that it should be on camera. And we don't want a circus. Like, we don't want to turn this into a circus. The issue is that nowadays, you not wanting to turn things into a circus is turning things into a circus.
Agreed.
The reason Kohberger's case and the Idaho 4 case is a circus, the reason we're sitting here right now debating all of these theories, is because
we don't trust it.
We don't trust any of it, because everything's secretive.
Yep.
If you came out and gave all the facts and said, this is what we did, this is the work we did, which will come in the trial, I understand that fully. The issue is that the trial is indefinitely delayed with a super strict gag order on it, and everybody's like, what is going on? We don't know when this trial is going to be. We don't know when we're going to get the truth. But that's why. That's why, regardless of whether you agree with it or not, that is the truth, is that the secrecy, the gag order, and all of this is why everyone's questioning it.
I agree. I think there's a way for everyone to win, because that's been my argument from the beginning, you guys, is there's this idea that, like, it's awful that everyone has a phone in their hand. It's horrible that 10-year-old kids are glued to their iPad. Look, I understand that all those things are scary and can be horrible. I get it. I understand it, and I agree with that. But there's no going back. There is only going forward. So we have to figure out a way to learn how to live with these things and make them work to our benefit instead of having our institutions and establishments constantly working against the evolution of the human race. This technology isn't going away. It's not going to happen. So we have to include it because the people are getting more visibility. The reason why things can turn into a circus is because people have the ability to look up these cases now. 40 years ago, if I lived in California, would I know about a case in New York? Maybe because of like the New York Times or whatever. Let's say North Carolina. If I lived in California, would I know about a case going on in North Carolina? No, not at all. But we weren't connected back then like we are now. We are connected now, and people are interested and they're curious. And all you judges that are working hard to keep cameras out of court, you're hindering people from having interest in the justice system, in our government, in our country. And that's horrible. That is so bad. We need people interested, man. We should be supporting this, but controlling it in a way that is controllable and fair. Like, I feel like they should put cameras in every courtroom, and I feel like they could charge $1 a month to have full access to it. I would pay it gladly, willingly, knowing my dollar was going to our government and justice system and court system, and I get to watch all these cases that, are anything adult related. Obviously no minor stuff, and I'm sure there would be other stipulations, things like that, but like, why are we not working to move into that? It drives me up the wall, man.
I don't understand it either.
Drives me crazy.
I mean, and why not just try it? If issues arise, courts always deal with that stuff. They make amendments all the time. I mean, come on. But I wanted to say, chasing ghosts, I know you're saying you have a ton of evidence on that stuff, and somebody suggested sending it over so we could look into it. And you said you wanted to go through it picture by picture. If you did want to share it and us to look into it and work on a show with you, where you come on and we can help you present it, we can do that. And we won't share any information until that happens. Like, you know what I mean? You can, and I'm not saying we will do that. I just am saying it could be an option if you send us an email, reach out, and we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Figure it out and decide if both of us want to do it or if neither one of us want to do it, or you know what I mean? If you want to do that, definitely go for it. I mean, we can try, to figure it out. But because from what you're saying, it sounds really interesting. So yeah, I'll post the email in the chat.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I posted this earlier, you guys, but
or Discord. Discord works too.
Yeah, I think I posted this earlier, you guys, but
I haven't been on Discord as much since before Thanksgiving, but I'll get back on there. I need to do some catching up.
Yeah, I'll post this Discord link. And for anybody that's on here, to give you a quick rundown, because some people have been saying some not so true things about Discord. Discord is just a free, completely free, all the way free chat where you have to be invited to be able to join it. It is the Thought Riot Podcast Discord, and people that are in this chat are in there, and we just share true crime information. We share opinions. I post alerts when we're about to go live, things like that. And I do it the same on Patreon too. Shoot, I think I forgot Patreon tonight because I was doing so many different things. But so that is our Discord, completely free, you guys. So we'll never ask for payment on there. I just heard there's this rumor going around that don't jump on Discord. It's going to be the end of all these people or whatever. It's so bad. And all they do is just pull money out of you. There's nothing on there where we can even ask for money. But just want to let you know in case you guys want to hop on there and continue the conversation and get alerts. And that is our Patreon as well. And yes, we do have a free spot. And what's free on, we don't have any free content separate though yet, but we do post our alerts because YouTube is unreliable. And one thing you can do that I realized is when a creator has a premiere coming up or a live coming up, you have to click on that video and then hit notify in that video in order to get that notification. Otherwise, usually it doesn't do it. YouTube's really bad about that. But there's those links right there. And one thing we've been getting a lot more traction on too is our Twitter. And of course, you guys know our Twitter's free, of course, and we continue the conversation in there too. So we're on all the social media platforms, you guys, and we'd love to have you hop on there and join them with us. So, and Marietta coming out hot, offering a membership, a gifted membership. That's awesome. We appreciate that. And
Yeah, thank you so much, Marietta, and welcome, Tay. Yep. But Amanda, I saw you saying that you feel like tips are a really big part of this case, and I have to say I think they are too.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge possibility that tips are a really big part of the case. And how maybe information was given without having to be official.
That's sketchy. That's another transparency thing where I feel like if you're going to give a tip that can condemn somebody's life, shouldn't you have to share your name?
Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah.
Welcome, LA. LA got gifted it.
That's awesome. Incredible. That's what we like to see for sure. Absolutely. But yeah, I feel like tips should have to be shared. I really do. Do you?
Yeah, I didn't know that they didn't necessarily have to.
Yeah. That's crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Crazy. What is it? The end of the month? Yeah.
Oh, make sure that you okay. Just wait a minute. We're gonna gift a few memberships. So make sure you have allow gifts on. We're gonna give out some memberships. Where's the message link on Thought Riot? Which social media ghosts? Message link on Thought Riot. Are you talking about within Discord? Patreon. You know, I don't know because I only see it from our end. Do you know if somebody can send us a personal message on Patreon?
Yeah.
People can. So I think Chasing Ghost was asking where the message button is.
On Patreon?
Yeah, because I don't know. For like a viewer or a subscriber. I don't know where the message button is for them.
I'm gonna have to figure that out.
Congrats, everybody that got a membership.
Yes, congrats, everybody.
Pebbles.
Yeah. Yeah, that is one thing the FBI sucks about. It's showing their work, man. It is like ego central.
Yeah.
And a required transparency would fix that.
It's kind of funny that the gifting membership sometimes calls out people who are lurking. Not saying there's anything wrong with it. Some people just listen.
But
it's just kind of funny.
I go through where people say like, "Hey, I love listening to you guys, even though I don't, take part in the chat or whatever," and that's great. I'm that way a lot of times.
Oh, me too. 100%. Like, I feel bad sometimes because I'm on my alt account on popular creators, and I don't want to, like, call out my alt account because I have things to say, and it's gonna sound like me,
Yeah.
and it's coming from, like, my name. So I
Mhm.
just don't comment on
Yeah.
anything. I have to go to the Thought Right account to comment.
Yeah.
But I a lot of times I just listen to I like everything, though. I always give it a like.
Yep. But all right, everybody, that is the show tonight. We appreciate all of you, and we appreciate all you hanging with us through our super hot, annoying debate. No, I'm glad half of you liked it, and we will fine tune that and get it down for you guys. But just know that if it stressed you out, we apologize because we weren't stressed out. That's normal conversation for us. But we love that you've all been here hanging out. Make sure you check out the podcast. If you're a YouTube person, great. That's our main content, obviously, on here. But we're also on every podcast platform where we post our weekly podcast on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, all the podcast platforms, literally all of them. And we have two of them, the True Crime Talk Show, which you are on right now, and Thought Riot, the True Crime and Criminal Culture podcast. We're on all social media, so come check us out and hang out and continue the conversation after. If you want to hop on Discord, it is in the chat. The invite link, you have to have an invite link to get on there. You can't just download Discord and search us. You have to have that invite link. We do our own artwork, but we have people that help and things like that. But yeah.
Yep. And yeah, Tay, I'm really glad you got gifted a membership. She said she would have been a member forever ago, but she was pinching pennies, so it made her day getting a membership. And yeah, congratulations to everyone that got one. I'm happy you're here.
Like,
welcome.
What I meant, Mike, is we don't hire anyone to, or we haven't yet. Well, I hope we get to the point where we have to, but we haven't ever hired anyone to do any of our imaging or our custom logo or anything like that. That Malia does all that stuff. She's really, 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 really good at that stuff. And the thumbs is mostly us and yeah, but yeah.
Okay.
I just wasn't sure if he was asking because maybe that was something he did. So he wanted to know if we like outsourced that, looking at it from a business perspective. So I was just trying to answer thorough. But
okay.
Yeah.
But yes, my name is Malia J. Ray. You're not living a lie. Sorry. But have a good night, everybody. Thanks for being here. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm an artist with my mouth.
You always say the weirdest things at the end.
Why is that weird?
Is what a foam finger? Where's a foam finger? My finger? In that picture? That's not a foam finger.
Oh, Mike said it looks professional. That's awesome. I agree. Malia does super, super, super good work. Very, very good.
Thanks. Gross, bro. Yeah, gross.
All right, everyone. We appreciate all of you. And to all of you, have a great night.
Yes.
We will see you tomorrow.
Bye.
I need chapstick.
Don't put on